Chapter 23:18. Page 1/1, Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min's faces changed as they watched Yun Jian play with the machine gun. The other party had a machine gun. And Yun Jian actually took the opportunity to snatch the machine gun from their hands while they were talking. Even if Luo Jejun and the rest did not see Yun Jian's actions, they should know how shocking Yun Jian's actions were. Who was she? Not only could she play with the machine gun so easily, but she also had such unbelievable strength. Wei Zhe, Wei Min, and Hong Ling were all dumbfounded. Luo Jejun narrowed his eyes as he became more and more interested in Yun Jian. What happened to her in the 10 years that she was lost? Just as Luo Jejun narrowed his eyes and studied Yun Jian's expression changed. I'll tell you. Let me live. I'll tell you everything. We've been hurt by T. One of the men who was carrying the machine gun heard Yun Jian's words. Because he saw Yun Jian's strength, he was so shocked that he wanted to confess the person who sent them to assassinate Yun Jian. Bang 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 bang. A series of sniper shots rang out. After the series of sniper shots rang out. At the same time, the man who had planned to have a showdown with Yun Jian, as well as the group of people who were shooting at Yun Jian and her friends with machine guns, were all killed on the spot due to the sudden sniper shot. Someone must have killed them from high up in the sky. Seeing this, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. She did not make a move and just watched the group of people die in front of her. She had the ability to save the man who was about to confess the person who sent the men to assassinate her. But Yun Jian did not make a move. That was because she already knew who sent the men to assassinate her. The group of people who were suddenly killed by snipers from high up in the sky were splattered with blood. This scene shocked Luo Jejun, Wei Min, and the rest. But when Yun Jian saw this, she directly threw the machine gun in her hand and turned to leave as if nothing had happened. Seeing this scene, Luo Jejun and the rest could not remain calm. Luo Jejun and the rest quickly caught up with Yun Jian and blocked Yun Jian's path. Wei Zhe, Yun Jian's brother in name, immediately spoke to Yun Jian, Wei Lin. What happened to you in the 10 years you left home? You're just an ordinary student, how did you provoke such an enemy? It was obvious that when Yun Jian asked the man who sent them to kill her just now, he was killed by a sniper from high up in the sky just as he was about to spill the beans. From this, it could be concluded that that group of people who were armed with machine guns were here to kill Yun Jian. Yun Jian, on the other hand, was the youngest daughter of the Wei family who had just been found and lost for 10 years. How could she provoke such an enemy? This made Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, and the rest in disbelief. So after the shock, the group immediately chased after her to question her. Get out of the way. Yun Jian, who was surrounded by Luo Jejun and the rest, spoke coldly. No, Wei Lin, your brother must be concerned about you, so he wants you to tell us about your recent situation. You're a girl, how did you provoke such an enemy? But don't be afraid. Tell us everything and let us think of a solution for you. When Hong Ling first met Yun Jian, he was attracted by Yun Jian's different style from other young girls. Now, he felt that Yun Jian was even more attractive. So, he wanted to rope Yun Jian in as one of them, which was why he said this. Hong Ling's words were undoubtedly a great acknowledgement of Yun Jian. At least, if it were any other young girl, they would be so excited that they would jump 3 feet into the air. But after Yun Jian heard Hong Ling's words, her eyes still moved. Her expression was even colder as she repeated her words. Get out of the way. When she said this, Hong Ling was shocked by Yun Jian's aura and stepped to the side. Yun Jian walked around them and walked in the direction of the Wei residence. Seeing Yun Jian's figure gradually disappear, Luo Jejun couldn't help but narrow his eyes as his thoughts drifted. Luo Jejun didn't see the scene where Yun Jian snatched the machine gun, but he was sure that to be able to snatch the machine gun from the hands of that group of people, her skills were almost comparable to his. Top reading website, M. Chapter 23:19. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Thinking of this, Luo Jejun's eyes narrowed even more. Interesting, too interesting. Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, you've been attracting my attention all this time. Brother Jejun. Brother Jejun. Brother Jejun. When Wei Min saw Luo Jejun staring in the direction where Yun Jian left without looking back for a long time, she dug her fingernails into her skin and called out 3 times with a grim face. After 3 times, Luo Jejun realized that Wei Min was calling him. Mm. Mm. When Luo Jejun snapped out of it, he stared at the spot where Yun Jian was not before turning back to look at Wei Min. With this, Wei Min became even angrier. She was so angry that her body trembled. Her long fingernails almost dug into the flesh on her hands. Someone would naturally take care of the corpses. Every organization would have someone who specialized in cleaning up the corpses and would not leave any traces behind. At this moment, Yun Jian had just returned to the Wei family. Little miss, you're back. Dinner is ready. Little miss, go wash your hands and get ready to eat. The Wei family's old servant, Auntie Zhang, said to Yun Jian when she saw Yun Jian return from her night practice. Hearing Auntie Zhang's words, Yun Jian nodded and went to the kitchen to wash her hands before sitting at the dining table. At the huge dining table, Yun Jian, who was pretending to be Wei Lin's biological mother, Wang Ruoya, was sitting at the head of the table. Seeing Yun Jian walk over, Wang Ruoya stood up and pulled Yun Jian to her seat with a doting look on her face. Wang Ruoya loved Yun Jian very much as she had only found her biological daughter after being separated from her for 10 years. Even the love she had for Wei Zhe and Wei Min was transferred to Yun Jian after Yun Jian came to the Wei family. Wang Ruoya did not know that Yun Jian was an impostor. Wei Xiao had received Yun Jian's order and did not dare to tell anyone. At this moment, Wang Ruoya felt that she owed her daughter who had been separated from her for 10 years. Hence, she pulled Yun Jian to the dining table and kept putting food in her bowl. Child, eat. Eat. You've suffered all these years. Mother doesn't know what you've suffered outside. Mother will make it up to you in the future. Wang Ruoya translation Wang Ruoya translation Wang Ruoya translation as she said Wang Ruoya, and Wang Ruoya, mother. Yun mother's mother. Was Yun Jian you? Translation. Today, Auntie Zhang, Aunt, Mother Zhang Mother, Aunt Zhang, Mother was Aunt Zhang, Aunt, Auntie Zhang, Lady, Aunt Zhang Miss Zhang Zhang translation 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 Zhang translation 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 as translation Yun Jian was very satisfied with the meal. Wei Wei's Wei translation when Wei translation when that translation translation when Wei when translation. This made Wei Min and Wei Zhe even more dissatisfied with Yun Jian Yang. However, Wei Min and Wei Zhe did not mention anything about what had happened in the park. Although the two of them wanted to tell their mother about Yun Jian Yang, they were afraid that their mother, Wang Ruoya translation Wang Ruoya, would worry about them, so they kept their mouths shut. Luo Jejun Yang changed his mind and did not plan to come to the Wei family for dinner because he had met Yun Jian before. This made Wei Min Yang think even more highly of Yun Jian Yang. After this incident, Wei Min Yang began to suspect Yun Jian Yang. Was she really her snot-nosed sister who had been separated from her for 10 years? After nearly half a month of comfortable days, the school was about to start its winter break. This morning, Yun Jian Yang came to the classroom very early. Luo Jichen Yang rushed into the classroom early in the morning and said to Yun Jian Yang excitedly, "There's news. There's news. There's news. Recently, people have been disappearing in Biyao City. Currently, the police have been involved in the investigation, but the news is still blocked from the public. Outsiders really can't find this news, but who asked my Luo family's little tyrant to take action? I'll get it right away." Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 23:20. Yun Jian had told Luo Jichen to keep an eye out for any strange happenings in Biyao City and to inform her once he discovered anything. The scout that Luo Jichen had sent out this morning had reported that there was a strange incident in Biyao City. So Luo Jichen had rushed to the academy without even putting on his clothes properly this morning. He had wanted to tell Yunjian the news in a hurry. Give me the details. Yunjian's eyes darkened as she spoke. Hey. It's like this. I heard that in the suburbs of Biyao City, there was a large construction site that was under construction. The construction site workers had to work overtime at night. But last week, a worker went missing while working overtime at the construction site. Since then, there have been workers going missing at the construction site every day. Don't you think it's scary? It's like a supernatural incident. The police have already surrounded the place and no one is allowed to enter. This incident has already been sealed off. If you didn't know me, you wouldn't have known about this. Luo Jichen looked at Yunjian expectantly as he spoke. He was waiting for Yunjian to praise him. Hearing Luo Jichen's words, Yunjian's eyes darkened. She paused for a moment before replying softly, yeah. Luo Jichen, who had wanted to see what expression Yunjian would have on her face, was stunned. That's it? Nothing happened for the entire day. Yunjian didn't plan to take any action today. As usual, after school ended at Imperial Academy in the evening, Yunjian put on her shoulder bag and walked towards the school gate. She had just walked out of the classroom when a girl walked towards her. The girl lowered her head and walked in front of Yunjian. She handed a black gunny sack to Yunjian and a small white slip of paper to Yunjian. She said, "This is for you." Then she turned and walked towards the stairs at the side. Yunjian looked into the black gunny sack and found that it was filled with pickled cabbage that had just been pickled. It was very fresh. He unfolded the small piece of paper and read it. My dad asked me to pass this to you. He said that you're a student from the same school as me and you'd go to his place to buy pickled vegetables every day. He fell down at his house this morning and couldn't go to the market to set up his stall. He was afraid that you wouldn't be able to buy any pickled vegetables from the market, so he asked me to pass the pickled vegetables to you. These pickled vegetables are a gift from my dad. He said that you're a regular customer, so you don't have to pay. Yunjian narrowed her eyes at the sight. Come to think of it, the girl just now should be the daughter of the old man who bought the pickled vegetables. Who would have thought that the old man actually had an 18 or 19-year-old daughter? He must have gotten the child when he was old. Yunjian narrowed her eyes and carried the black sack down the stairs, intending to walk towards the school gate. Oh my! Isn't this our school's top student, Ling Qianqian? What? Why are you in such a hurry to go home? Hee, I heard that your father sells vegetables in a vegetable market in Biyao City. Since when is the school's threshold so low that even the daughter of a vegetable seller can enter our school? Just as Yunjian was walking down the stairs, she suddenly saw the girl who had lowered her head and stuffed the pickled vegetables into her hands being surrounded by a few other girls. They pinched her face, pulled her clothes, slapped her face and insulted her. My dad isn't a vegetable seller. He's not. The girl called Ling Qianqian who had handed the black bag to Yunjian cried out in a sobbing tone as tears streamed down her cheeks. Not? We all saw it the last time. You went home with that vegetable seller. You still say that you're not a vegetable seller's daughter, huh? The girls surrounding Ling Qianqian became more and more arrogant and started to touch Ling Qianqian. I really don't know how a slut like you is fit to study in our Imperial Academy, such a noble school. The leader of the girls pointed at Ling Qianqian and raised her hand, wanting to slap Ling Qianqian like before. However, just as the leader of the girls was about to slap Ling Qianqian, a pair of slender and beautiful hands successfully grabbed her wrist. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 23-21. Page 1/1. To an ordinary person, being drenched in the rain was very harmful to the body. Only a person who was sad or in pain would walk in the rain. However, Yunjian was used to training in the rain. Running a few laps in the rain brought her back to the time when she was in the Inhun organization and trained with the group of kidnapped children. Back in the Inhun organization, it was a dark and gloomy day. Her daily wish was to be strong enough to live to the next day. However, it was undeniable that one's hard work was forced. The time when she was training day and night in the Inhun organization was the time when Yunjian, as slaying god, worked the hardest to improve her skills. She only wanted to live. Ever since she left the Inhun organization, although she worked hard every day, she could not find that tenacious heart of hers. Therefore, there was another reason Yunjian wanted to train in the rain. She wanted to find her fighting spirit in the rain. However, before Yunjian could take a step, she heard Luo Jejun's voice. Upon hearing that, Yunjian narrowed her eyes and ignored him. She slung her backpack over one shoulder and ran into the rain. However, before Yunjian could walk out, Luo Jejun walked over to hold Yunjian's hand, trying to stop Yunjian from walking into the rain. Even if you don't want to think about your body, as your friends, will be worried for you. Luo Jejun frowned as he said that. He wanted to hold Yunjian's hand like a hero saving a damsel in distress to stop Yunjian from getting drenched. However, Yunjian's eyes moved. Before Luo Jejun's hand could touch her, she dodged to the left and avoided his touch. Hong Ling and Wei Zhe, who were standing behind Luo Jejun, were dumbfounded. The eldest son of the Luo family, the future heir of the Luo group, the most handsome boy in the Imperial College, known as the Aloof Prince, not only did he claim to be Yunjian's friend, but he even took the initiative to touch a girl. Reaching out to touch a girl was something that had never happened to Luo Jejun. Therefore, this scene dumbfounded Hong Ling and Wei Zhe. What was even more surprising was that this girl actually avoided Luo Jejun's touch. Didn't she know that she was the first girl in the world who could make Luo Jejun take the initiative to hold her hand? In the dark, Wei Min clenched her fists. Her fingernails dug deep into her flesh. Her knuckles turned white because she used too much force. Wei Lin. Wei Min yelled out almost immediately. After yelling, she twisted her face and stared at Yunjian with a fake smile for 2 seconds. Then, she suppressed her anger and looked at Yunjian with the attitude of a good sister. Wei Lin, how can you be so impolite? Brother Jejun is doing this for your own good. He doesn't want you to go out and catch a cold. Wei Min clenched her teeth and forced herself to change her tone into a normal one as she spoke to Yunjian. After saying this, Yunjian glanced at Wei Min from the corner of her eyes. Just as she was about to walk into the rain again, I haven't thanked you yet. My name is Ling Qianqian. We can be friends. Ling Qianqian suddenly ran to Yunjian and said to Yunjian. But when Ling Qianqian ran to Yunjian and said this to Yunjian, she suddenly saw a figure stumbling over in the rain. The figure staggered over with a limp. He was wearing a bamboo hat on his head and a straw raincoat on his body. He was also holding a worn-out umbrella in his hand. When this person saw Ling Qianqian, he grinned and ran over even faster. Qianqian. Qianqian, it's raining. Dad remembered that you didn't bring an umbrella this morning, so Dad brought an umbrella over. The man limped to the front of the crowd and handed Ling Qianqian the worn-out umbrella in his arms. Ling Qianqian suddenly got angry. She flung the shabby umbrella that the person handed to her to the ground. She cried and roared, "Didn't I tell you not to come to school to pick me up? Do you think I haven't made a fool of myself enough? Get out. Get out of here." Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 23-22. Page 1/1. Yunjian clearly saw the old man wearing a tattered straw raincoat and a bamboo hat limping towards them. When he handed the umbrella to Ling Qianqian with a simple and honest smile, Ling Qianqian's lips suddenly stiffened. The old man who delivered the umbrella was none other than the old man who bought pickled vegetables that Yunjian often met at the market. The old man obviously had a child when he was old. He had a daughter like Ling Qianqian, so he was usually very protective of her. To be honest, the old man was wearing a straw raincoat and a bamboo hat. When he walked into the Imperial Noble Academy, which was considered one of the top-notch academies in the country, there was a strong sense of incongruity. But the old man's honest expression made people unable to scold him. But when Ling Qianqian saw this old man, it was as if her expression changed completely. Just a moment ago, she was still trying to curry favor with Yun Jian, but in an instant, her expression changed completely. No, Dad didn't want to come, but Qianqian, you forgot to bring an umbrella this morning. Dad was afraid that you would catch a cold in the rain. Take the umbrella, Dad will leave now, Dad will leave now. The old man was wearing a straw raincoat and a bamboo hat. He looked like he had walked a long way to deliver the umbrella. Looking at the little white note that Ling Qianqian wrote, the old man fell this morning and didn't even have the strength to set up a stall at the market. But he still mustered up the courage to walk so long just to deliver the umbrella to his daughter, not wanting her to get wet. Seeing his daughter throw the tattered umbrella he handed to her to the ground, the old man still had a simple and honest smile on his face. He bent down and picked up the umbrella from the ground. Because the old man was old, it would only take a few seconds for a young man to bend down and pick up the umbrella. However, it took the old man more than 20 seconds to suppress the pain in his spine. He picked up the umbrella and stuffed it into Ling Qianqian's hands. He then turned around and staggered out of the place in a sorry state. Hey, look, isn't this our classmate Ling Qianqian? What's wrong? Your old father is here to pick you up from school. Aren't you going home with your father? There were many people walking back and forth in the teaching building. At that moment, a girl walked past Ling Qianqian and glanced at the old man who was wearing a straw raincoat and a bamboo hat. She used her usual mocking tone to mock Ling Qianqian. After saying that, the two girls stopped and looked at Ling Qianqian with a smile. Obviously, these two girls often used such words to provoke Ling Qianqian. I'm not Qianqian's father, I'm not. I'm just here to deliver an umbrella on behalf of Qianqian's parents. The old man hurriedly tried to save his daughter's face after hearing what the two girls said. Because he was in a hurry, the old man didn't even notice Yun Jian standing next to him. This old man said that he's not Ling Qianqian's father. He. The two girls who passed by said in a cold tone. Ling Qianqian was originally afraid that her classmates would find out that her father was a vegetable seller. Now that she was caught red-handed and provoked with such words, she subconsciously threw the umbrella at the old grandpa, covered her ears, and shouted at the old grandpa, Grandpa. Scram! Scram! I don't want your umbrella. Scram! She couldn't stop her tears from falling. You're still angry, The two girls who passed by heard that and mocked again. The old man stood in the rain and awkwardly didn't know if he should bend down to pick up the umbrella on the ground. He just wanted to deliver an umbrella for his daughter, but why did it seem like he had made a huge mistake? It was then that Yun Jian tugged the two girls who were passing by and pushed them aside to taunt Ling Qianqian. Seeing this, Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes. However, just when Luo Jiejun and the others thought that Yun Jian was being kind and wanted to help Ling Qianqian vent her anger on the two girls who passed by, they saw Yun Jian standing in front of Ling Qianqian in front of everyone and then slapped Ling Qianqian's face. This sudden slap startled everyone present. Translator, Henyi Translations Editor, Henyi Translations. Chapter 23-23. No, Wei Lin, are you kidding me? Why did you hit her? Hong Ling saw Yun Jian's action and was shocked. Why did Yun Jian slap Ling Qianqian? This was obviously not Ling Qianqian's fault. This matter was clearly the fault of those gossipers. But Yun Jian actually slapped Ling Qianqian? Are you kidding me? Even Luo Jiejun, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min were shocked by Yun Jian's action. Logically speaking, Yun Jian should not have slapped Ling Qianqian. Moreover, Ling Qianqian was forced. Did Yun Jian not see Ling Qianqian's tears? Luo Jiejun saw Yun Jian's action and narrowed his eyes. If it were him, he would definitely warn the two girls who bullied Ling Qianqian. But Yun Jian, this is getting more and more interesting. Wei Lin, the youngest daughter of the Wei family, you've really impressed me. Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes. However, just as Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes, Yun Jian's cold voice suddenly sounded. She's the one I slapped. She, Yun Jian, slapped Ling Qianqian. At this moment, Ling Qianqian was covering her swollen face from Yunjian's slap. She looked dispirited. Qianqian, Qianqian. The old grandpa was a little heartbroken that his daughter was slapped by Yunjian. However, he stretched out his hand, afraid that if he stretched out his hand to help his daughter in the academy, his daughter would hate him again. So, the old grandpa did not stretch out his hand. Qianqian, Dad is useless, Dad is useless. If only Dad could let you live a good life, it's Dad's fault. The old grandpa stood in the rain and looked at Ling Qianqian sadly. His mood had hit rock bottom. He could not forget his daughter shouting at him, "Why aren't you rich? If you don't have money, why must you force me to study in an aristocratic academy?" Ling Qianqian relied on her own ability to waive the tuition fees to enter the Imperial College. She didn't want to come because she wouldn't be able to get any attention in such a place where only the children of rich families studied. Ling Qianqian was forced to come by her father. She said that after she went to an elite school, the people she met in the future would be different. However, even the old man himself did not expect his daughter to be in such a situation. "Do you know why I hit you?" Amidst the silence, Yunjian's voice rang abruptly, accompanied by the pitter-patter of the rain. These words were directed at Ling Qianqian. Ling Qianqian looked listless and did not reply. "Because you're very happy. So happy that it's enviable." Yunjian's words rang out again in the next second. After hearing this, Ling Qianqian, the old man, Luo Jiejun, and the others were dumbfounded. Was Yunjian dumbfounded? She actually said that Ling Qianqian was happy. One must know that Ling Qianqian's family background was the worst in the Royal Academy. Happy? Ling Qianqian was stunned as well. She raised her head and looked at Yunjian. However, she saw Yunjian continue speaking to Ling Qianqian in front of everyone with an expressionless face. "Compared to the world I live in, you're a child kissed by God. You're so happy that it's enviable." At this point, Luo Jiejun and the others stared at Yunjian. Yunjian paused and stretched out her hands to draw a red arc in front of everyone, as if recalling a shocking scene. She continued to speak in front of everyone, "I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. Do you know that in the world I live in, as long as you dare, please remember the domain name of this book." Mobile reading website. Chapter 23-24. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Yunjian's nonchalant speech was devoid of any emotion, but it was accompanied by the sound of rain. It was enough to shock everyone present like they were struck by lightning. As soon as she said this, everyone present took a few deep breaths, stunned on the spot. Yunjian said. What? Everyone present knew about Yunjian's background. She was the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who had been lost for 10 years. As for the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who had been lost for 10 years, where she had gone, what she had done, and how she had been found, no one present knew. Because of this, when Luo Jiejun, Wei Min, and the other three heard Yunjian's words, they were all stunned for a moment. "If you want to live, your hands must be stained with blood?" These words deeply touched Luo Jiejun and the others. Yunjian's past life was even worse than Ling Qianqian, who had the worst family in the Imperial Academy and was often ridiculed by her classmates. This made Luo Jiejun's brows knit even tighter. What kind of past did she have? You. At this moment, although Ling Qianqian was still squatting on the ground, she had already raised her head to look at Yunjian. Her face, which had stopped crying, was pale, but more than that, she was shocked. You should be glad that you're still alive. Why do you care about other people's opinions? If I did what you did, there would be many people in this world who would want me to die. If I was as decadent as you, I would have lost my life long ago. Yunjian interrupted Ling Qianqian before she could say anything. After that, she didn't want to talk to Ling Qianqian anymore. Is the father who raised you more important, or is your worthless dignity more important? You better think carefully. With that, she turned around and slung her shoulder bag over her left shoulder, stepping into the rain that was neither heavy nor light. After Yun Jian left, Ling Qianqian was completely silent. She sat on the ground and thought for a long time. Yun Jian's actions really shocked Luo Jiejun and the others. Especially Luo Jiejun. Watching Yun Jian walk into the rain, Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes on his rather handsome face. This scene caused Wei Min to clench her fists again. She was so angry that her entire body trembled, and even the corners of her mouth twitched incessantly. However, just as Wei Min was so angry that her entire body was twitching, Luo Jiejun lifted his leg and actually followed Yun Jian's footsteps into the distance. He did not even open his umbrella and chased after her. Yun Jian was about to reach the entrance of the academy when she was suddenly stopped. Wei Lin. Without even turning his head, he could tell from the voice that the person who came was none other than Luo Jiejun. But Yun Jian didn't stop. Unexpectedly, Luo Jiejun jogged over to Yun Jian. After taking 2 deep breaths, he said to Yun Jian, "Tell me. Where have you been for the past 10 years? The moment Luo Jiejun caught up, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, and Hong Ling also caught up. As the school hunk of the Imperial Academy, this was the first time Luo Jiejun had chased after a girl in the rain. Wei Zhe and Hong Ling were completely dumbfounded. And what made Yun Jian's nominal brother, Wei Zhe, even more shocked was what Yun Jian had just said. What kind of past did she go through? However, just as Luo Jiejun asked Yun Jian this question, Yun Jian only coldly glanced at Luo Jiejun and wanted to walk around him to walk out of the academy. There were many students walking around the academy, so Yun Jian couldn't start jogging even if she wanted to. Seeing that Yun Jian was about to leave, Luo Jiejun directly blocked Yun Jian's path and said to Yun Jian, "Even if you don't say it, I can understand your pain." These words were rather ambiguous. The moment he said this, Wei Zhe and Hong Ling were even more shocked. Not only was this the first time Luo Jiejun was so concerned about a girl, but what was even more shocking was that this girl was his biological sister who had been separated from him for 10 years, Wei Lin. Wei Zhe was stunned. Needless to say, Wei Min's expression was obvious. However, just as Luo Jiejun, Wei Zhe, Hong Ling, and Wei Min stared at Yun Jian, waiting for Yun Jian to explain her whereabouts all these years, in the rain, Yun Jian suddenly pulled out a faint and cold smile and said in front of everyone, "If I say that I was kidnapped by an assassin organization, would you believe me?" Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 23-25. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. If I told you that I was kidnapped by an assassin organization, would you believe me? Yun Jian's words stunned Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min. Assassin organization, kidnapped her? That, to Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min, an assassin organization was an unreachable existence. It was an existence that Luo Jiejun and the other 3 did not even dare to think about. Hence, after hearing Yun Jian's words, the 4 of them were stunned. After regaining his senses, Luo Jiejun's eyes darkened, but he did not seem to believe Yun Jian's words. Wei Lin, how can you say such things? Be careful that the assassin organization really kidnaps you. That assassin organization is a place to train assassins, how could you? Alright, this is unrealistic, let's not talk about it. Lin, let's go home. Wei Min naturally did not believe Yun Jian's words, but she saw that after hearing Yun Jian's words, Luo Jiejun's eyes changed, even though he did not believe Yun Jian's words. That gaze clearly showed that he was more interested in Yun Jian. Wei Min was a woman, so she could naturally tell what Luo Jiejun's gaze meant when he looked at Yun Jian. Wei Min was angry just now, and originally wanted to call Yun Jian by her name, but after considering her image, she changed her words and reached out to grab Yun Jian's hand. Yun Jian dodged to the side and looked at everyone coldly. If you don't believe me, then don't ask anymore. After saying that, she slung her backpack over her shoulder and left in a flash. She was so fast that Luo Jiejun and the rest could not turn back in time. Even so, Luo Jiejun was more and more interested in Yun Jian. At that moment, Luo Jejun narrowed his eyes and looked at Yun Jian's back as she left. This is getting more and more interesting. Wei Lin, your every move, every word, and every action are truly different from the rest. It's unforgettable. It was 9:30 p.m. The Wei family members usually had a normal schedule. 9:30 p.m. was very early for night cats, but for the Wei family who were used to sleeping early and waking up early, it was already very late. The Wei family was ready to go to bed at 8:00 in the evening. At that moment, Yun Jian got up from her bed and walked out of her room. Yun Jian's steps were very light. She didn't even make the slightest sound as she walked through the Wei residence's corridors, stairs, and living room. After leaving the gate of the Wei family's villa, Yun Jian quickly disappeared in the night light. At this moment, in the kitchen of the Wei family villa, Wei Min had just fallen asleep when she suddenly felt thirsty. Half asleep, she went downstairs to get some water. However, just as she poured the water, she saw a black figure flashing through the window in the distance. That person, isn't that Wei Lin? It's so late. Why is she sneaking out? Wei Min, who was still sleepy, suddenly woke up. She quickly ran to the door to change her shoes, took her phone, and chased after Yun Jian. Before she chased in the direction Yun Jian had left, Wei Min made a call. Hello, is this Brother Hongling? Let me tell you, I just woke up and was thirsty when I went downstairs to drink some water. Then I saw my sister go out in the middle of the night. I'm worried about her, so can you come with me? After Yun Jian left the Wei residence, she came to a relatively lively area near the Wei residence. A yellow Corvette sports car was parked in front of her. Yun Jian walked forward, opened the yellow Corvette sports car, and got in. The car quickly started the engine and left the place. Top reading website, M. Chapter 23-26. Page 1/1. It was only after Yun Jian left that a figure popped out from the bushes. Looking closely, wasn't this person Wei Min? Wei Min was currently holding her phone and talking to Hong Ling on the other end of the phone while looking at the yellow Corvette sports car that Yun Jian was in. Hey, I'm still here. I didn't hang up. I was looking at my sister just now. She's in a yellow sports car. It's really cool, I think it's the latest Corvette sports car, Brother Hong Ling. I'm just worried about my sister. I'm afraid that she's hiding something from us. That's why I contacted you to follow her and take a look. Yes, I'm at Huangjiang Road now. I've called a taxi. I'll send you the location later. Come over quickly. As Wei Min spoke, she flagged down a passing taxi and got in before ordering the driver to follow the yellow Corvette sports car. Inside the yellow Corvette sports car, Yun Jian was in the front passenger seat. Qin Yu was in the driver's seat. Qin Yu was currently driving the yellow Corvette sports car, cruising slowly on the road. Have you found anything? Yun Jian asked. The information is here. It's the boss of Country T's underground black market who sent someone to assassinate you, Qin Yu said as she turned the steering wheel. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes at that. She flipped through the information in her hand manually before tossing it into the back seat of the sports car. When the information was tossed to the back seat, it drew a beautiful arc and landed firmly on the back seat. Sister Jian, what do you want to do? Qin Yu turned the steering wheel and whistled as she asked. I'll leave it to you. Her words determined a person's fate. Yun Jian closed her eyes. The boss of Country T's underground black market had sent someone to assassinate her because Yun Jian had killed Xian Yu in Marilena's tomb back then. To Yun Jian, this was just a small fry, nothing more. Okay. Qin Yu held the steering wheel with one hand and snapped her fingers with the other, looking relaxed and happy. Sister Jian, the three of them are waiting for you at a coffee shop in front. They'll be here soon, Qin Yu added. Yun Jian responded softly. It was then that Qin Yu narrowed her eyes and whistled again before saying in a playful tone, You're right. Yo, you're still continuing after following me for so long? Sister Jian, should I shake off the taxi that's been tailing us? Yu had already noticed that a taxi was following her sports car unhurriedly. Jian had naturally noticed as well. Let her do as she pleases. Jian pursed her lips and narrowed her eyes. Wei Min, who was sitting in the taxi behind, had already hung up the phone. She was staring at the yellow sports car in front with a pair of eyes that could stare people to death. After a while, the yellow sports car turned a corner in her line of sight and parked in a downtown coffee shop. Wei Min could not help rolling her eyes at Jian inwardly. Wei Lin could actually sit in a high-end sports car. It meant that she must be a mistress of a rich man. Or perhaps, she used to be someone's mistress. After all, she had been missing for 10 years. When an 8-year-old girl was picked up by someone, most of the time, it was with the intention of getting something out of her. It was even like in television dramas where a little girl who had been lost for 10 years was taken away to be a prostitute. She had to entertain customers every day and was even ravaged by dozens of men. Wei Min thought that the owner of the car Jian was in was the man who had taken care of or ravaged Jian in the past. Just as Wei Min thought about it, the person in the car alighted. Jian got out of the car. From the driver's seat, a teenage girl got out. Wei Min was stunned when she saw that it was not a plump middle-aged man who got down from the driver's seat. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Chapter 23-27. Soon, Wei Min saw Jian and the girl walking into a coffee shop one after another. Jian walked in front while the girl trailed behind. Moreover, the girl was following Jian like she was facing her superior. Wei Min was stunned by the sight before a flash of annoyance washed over her. Wei Lin must be the mistress of a rich mogul. The mogul must be so fat that one would feel nauseous just by looking at him. The girl behind her should be the mogul's woman. Once she thought about it, Wei Min was infuriated. She was no longer a clean woman. Why did she come back to the Wei family? She even seduced her Jejun Gij. Although Wei Min was angry in her heart, she still forcefully suppressed her anger. She had contacted Hong Ling just now. Once the girl arrived, she would rush in with her. If it was Jian who met the middle-aged man with the beer belly, not only could she expose Jian's facade on the spot, but she would also bring Wei Min along with her. She would tell Luo Jejun the next day that Hong Ling would not lie. Even if Luo Jejun did not believe that Jian was a prostitute, he had to believe it. In the corner of the coffee shop, a screen blocked the view from the entrance. Jian and Qingyu came in and saw Diani, Guilian, and Guiyan. Sister Jian. All three of them greeted in unison when they saw Jian. Diani, Guilian, and Guiyan were the leaders of the Kosha mercenaries' intelligence team, assassination team, and intelligence team. The three of them were here to report to Jian what happened after they eliminated Reverse Emperor. There were some things that the Kosha mercenaries could handle on their own, but a lot of important matters had to go through Jian. Hence, Diani, Guilian, and Guiyan had to hand it over to Jian personally. Cut the chatter. Speak. Jian sat on a chair in front of the trio and spoke with narrowed eyes. Diani and the other two answered quickly. Outside the coffee shop, Wei Min finally waited for Hong Ling, but she didn't expect Hong Ling to bring Luo Jejun along. Wei Min originally thought that if Jian didn't meet with the middle-aged man who kept her, then wouldn't she? In spite of it, Wei Min shook her head, thinking that it was great that her handsome brother was here. If Jian was really meeting the middle-aged man who was her sugar daddy, her handsome brother would probably lose interest in her after witnessing it with his own eyes. She's inside. I'm afraid that my sister has something she can't say, so. Wei Min still wanted to put on a show. But Luo Jejun didn't wait for her to finish speaking and walked into the coffee shop. With that dark face, those who didn't know would think that Luo Jejun was here to catch them in the act. In fact, Luo Jejun had heard about Jian from Hong Ling, so he also thought that Jian had abandoned herself to come out in the middle of the night to fool around with men. He wanted to ask her personally why she had fallen so low when she was still so good at teaching others. So, Luo Jejun ignored Wei Min and walked straight into the coffee shop. Just as he entered the coffee shop, he bumped into Yun Jian. Seeing this, Luo Jejun asked directly, "Who are you meeting with?" Because there was a screen, Luo Jejun couldn't see the person inside. Yun Jian didn't look surprised when she saw Luo Jejun. At that time, Luo Jejun couldn't hear Yun Jian's response. He walked past Yun Jian and the screen angrily. Wei Min and Hong Ling followed after seeing this. Unexpectedly, just as the three of them thought that they would see a fat man with a big belly in front of them, Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Min's mouths were suddenly covered. The three of them were shocked. What kind of person could be so fast? To be able to subdue them so quickly. Just as they were about to struggle, there was a sudden cracking sound in their heads. Dai Ani and the other two subdued Luo Jejun and the other two. 3 bright muzzles were placed on Luo Jejun and the other two's heads. At that time, Yun Jian retreated behind the screen. This was a place where outsiders couldn't see. She glanced sideways at Luo Jejun and the other two. Then, in front of the three of them, as their pupils constricted, she sneered. "You came uninvited? Do you think you've lived for too long? Please remember the domain name of this book." Mobile reading website. Chapter 23-28. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. The sudden turn of events caught Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Min off guard. Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Min reacted abruptly before they heard Yun Jian's sharp and cold voice and saw that Yun Jian had already appeared before them. The eyes of the three sunk, and a trace of fear flashed across their faces. In an instant, 3 people pointed their guns at their heads. Obviously, the strength of those 3 people was stronger than them. They were so strong that they could not even react in time. And the most frightening thing wasn't the sudden appearance of 3 people behind the large screen in the coffee shop, nor was it the fact that these 3 people were armed with pistols. It was, these 3 people who were armed with guns and were so skilled seemed to be Yun Jian's subordinates. When Yun Jian finished, Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Min froze. Especially Wei Min had wanted to get hold of Yun Jian's weakness, thinking that Yun Jian was negotiating with a plump middle-aged man and could possibly find out where she had gone and what she had done in the past 10 years that they had been separated from. In the end, not only did they fail to find out where Yun Jian had gone and what Yun Jian had done in the past 10 years, they even had a gun pointed at their heads. Wei Min's face turned pale. She was so scared that she shivered. Their mouths were muffled by Dai Ani, Hong Ling, and Hong Ling, while Luo Jejun was looking at Yun Jian with a scrutinizing frown. He looked like he was interrogating Yun Jian. "Are we going to kill them?" Qin Yu asked as she followed Yun Jian from behind the screen in the coffee shop to stand behind Yun Jian. Qin Yu, Dai Ani, and Hong Ling knew that Yun Jian's current identity was the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, so Qin Yu did not address Yun Jian as Sister Jian in front of Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, and Hong Ling. The plain words, "kill them," made Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Min's heart skip a beat. Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, and Hong Ling also saw that Dai Ani, Gue Lian, and Gue Yen who were holding them down nodded at Qin Yu when she came out from behind the screen. It looked like they were nodding at their superiors. That was the truth. Qin Yu was an elder in the Kosha mercenaries, so her status was higher than Dai Ani, Hong Ling, and Hong Ling. Yun Jian's brow arched when she heard what Qin Yu said. Then, she curled her red lips and gave a single order, "Kill." The next day, Luo Jejun woke up groggily on his bed. Luo Jejun reached out to rub his hair. Putting aside the other faults, Luo Jejun really did have some fresh and handsome looks. Yesterday. After Luo Jejun grabbed his hair, he suddenly recalled the scene that happened last night. But in his memories, those scenes were so unreal. Luo Jejun went downstairs and grabbed his school bag. He didn't even have time to eat the breakfast prepared by the servants at home and ran to school. He went straight to Yun Jian's classroom as soon as he entered the school. Yun Jian was sitting in her seat. Ah. It's Jun Xiao. Am I seeing things? It's Jun Xiao. He's so handsome. Why is Jun Xiao in our classroom? Ah. When the surrounding girls suddenly saw Luo Jiejun's figure, their sharp voices almost rose from their throats. The girls shrieked. Before they could finish screaming, Luo Jiejun walked up to Yun Jian and looked at Yun Jian with an interrogating expression. He then reached out to grab Yun Jian's wrist. Who knew that when Luo Jiejun reached out to grab Yun Jian's wrist, Yun Jian dodged to the side and grabbed her deskmate Luo Jiechen, who was sleeping on the desk, by his collar and tossed him into Luo Jiejun's arms, preventing him from touching him. Luo Jiechen was speechless. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Luo Jiejun held Luo Jiechen up and stared at Yun Jian. He then questioned Yun Jian in front of everyone in class and the girls. What the hell happened last night? Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Chapter 23-29. Luo Jiejun was originally a celebrity in the Imperial College. None of the students who studied in the Imperial College didn't know him. Moreover, 80% of the girls in the school secretly had a crush on Luo Jiejun. The other 20% were divided among the other school hunks. Seeing this, Luo Jiejun had caused a storm as soon as he arrived in Yun Jian's classroom. And what made the girls even more shocked was that Luo Jiejun actually walked directly to Yun Jian's seat. The 4 words "last night" made the group of crazy Luo Jiejun fans in Yun Jian's class scream to the peak when they heard it. The young master of the Luo family, Luo Jiejun, had stayed away from the girls since he entered the school. It was even said that the young master of the Luo family, Luo Jiejun, didn't have a good impression of girls at all. But today, Luo Jiejun walked directly to Yun Jian and said such shocking words. It made everyone present feel that something happened between Yun Jian and Luo Jiejun last night. Ah! Young Master Jun didn't just come to our classes, Wei Lin. Did something happen between them last night? It's so exciting and explosive. I'm so envious. When will I be able to get young Master Jun's attention like this? That Wei Lin must have accumulated a few lifetimes worth of fortune to have young Master Jun personally come to our class. Young Master Jun even took the initiative to reach out and hold her hand. Young Master Jun is so handsome, ah. I'm about to be charmed to death, ah. The surrounding girls brought the atmosphere to the climax. At this moment, Luo Jichen had already reacted. He suddenly realized that he was lying in his big brother's arms after waking up. He was so shocked that he suddenly jumped up. Damn, big brother, why are you here? What the hell? Why are you looking for Wei Lin? Is your phone broken and you need Wei Lin to help you fix it? That's not right, your pocket money wasn't deducted by your family. Luo Jichen was stunned after he reacted and said in shock. At this time, Luo Jiejun didn't reply to Luo Jichen. He just stared at Yun Jian, as if he wanted to find the answer to his question from Yun Jian. Just now, Yun Jian was still flipping through the textbook. When she saw Luo Jiejun reaching out to grab her wrist, she dodged to the side and directly pulled Luo Jichen's collar and stuffed him into Luo Jiejun's arms. At this time, she was still sitting in her seat and flipping through the textbook. Yun Jian pressed her lips together at Luo Jiejun's words. She did not even look up as she spoke to him calmly. Last night? Don't tell me you've overdone it and got hallucinations. You should go to the hospital for treatment. After saying that, Luo Yun SSS, Luo's, she didn't even raise her SS. This Wei Lin really doesn't know what's good for her. Isas hala ts. Ites s, hers teat, SSS. Her. Ons on. Is. Of Yun Yuan's. The surrounding girls also started to talk to each other. This had no effect on Yun Jian at all. She actually said that he was hallucinating. Luo Jiejun scratched his head. He wasn't spouting nonsense. Yesterday really did seem like a dream, but why did that dream feel so real? Did I really make a mistake? Luo Jiejun suddenly asked. As he spoke, he shook his head and did not speak to Yunjian again. He turned around and walked out slowly. What's wrong with that? Big brother, are you having a wet dream? Seeing that Luo Jejun suddenly reacted and walked out, Luo Jechen smiled and shouted at Luo Jejun from behind. The girls in the class were also shocked when they saw Luo Jejun's reaction. What was going on? At that time, in a place where no one could see, Yunjian's slightly raised smile flashed past in an instant and disappeared without a trace. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website, M. Chapter 2330. Luo Jejun and the other two couldn't die. That was why Yunjian only ordered Dai Ani and the other two to knock Luo Jejun and the other two unconscious. After that, Yunjian hypnotized Luo Jejun and the other two, making what happened last night seem like a dream to Luo Jejun and the other two. Hypnotism was extensive and profound, so it was still possible to do something like this. At night, school was over as usual. As soon as she walked out of the classroom, a cheerful figure ran towards her. It was a girl with a smile on her face. After the girl passed a black bag to Yunjian, she flashed a wide grin at Yunjian and said, "Hey, Yunjian. Thank you. Thank you so much. I've already thought it through. You're right, of course my dad's and my so-called worthless dignity is more important than my dad's. Who cares what other people think? My mom and dad were already old when they gave birth to me. My mom unfortunately passed away, so it was my dad who brought me up. Everything I have was given to me by my dad. What can those people who mocked and ridiculed me give me? Why should I care so much about what they think? Let them say what they want. I'm living very well now. My dad will come and pick me up from school today. In the future, he'll send me to school before going to the market to sell vegetables." That's right, the person who came was Ling Qianqian, who smashed the old man's umbrella and cried in the rain yesterday. She didn't expect that after just one night, she had already thought it through. So this is my reward? Yunjian lifted the pickled cabbage in her hand and said to Ling Qianqian with narrowed eyes. That's right. Although this isn't anything precious, you know my family's financial situation. When I graduate and earn a lot of money, I'll treat you to a big meal. Ling Qianqian nodded. Ling Qianqian, who had thought it through, was clearly much more optimistic. Then I'll accept it without hesitation. Yunjian lifted the pickled cabbage in the black bag and carried her bag with her other hand. She slung the bag over her shoulder and turned to leave the school. At this moment, Ling Qianqian didn't know that after she graduated and started working, she would never be able to contact Yunjian again. Perhaps many years later, Ling Qianqian could still recall Yunjian, but Yunjian's appearance in her memory was already a blur in her heart. She could only rely on her memories. She could vaguely remember Yunjian's always calm and indifferent face with a slight smile. That face was a face that changed her life. In a person's life, they would meet many people. Schoolmates, travelers, people from the same city, people from different countries. When they parted, they would never meet again, they would never meet again in their lifetime, they would never even have a Waze contact. If you think about it, you would have remembered many people's faces to think. But perhaps the other party didn't leave a deep impression on you, so you simply ignored them. After Yun left the schools to go. As soon as she arrived, she saw Luo Jejun, Luo Jechen, Hongling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min. There were many dining tables in the Wei family's hall. It looked like they were going to hold a small party. They had even invited some rich families and their children to attend tonight's small party. Seeing this, Yunjian walked past them and was about to go upstairs. But at this moment, a 16 or 17-year-old girl dressed like a doll princess suddenly stood in front of Yunjian. She stared at Yunjian with a proud expression and said in front of Wei Min and the others, "This is the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who was found after being missing for 10 years. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 23:31. This young girl, who was dressed as delicately as a doll, spoke with the arrogance that only a princess would have. That was something that outsiders could never learn. At that moment, the young girl was examining Yun Jian with a probing gaze. It was as if a high and mighty princess was looking at a commoner. However, before Yun Jian could say anything, the young girl said, "You're quite pretty, but don't you have any ideas about my big brother? Let me tell you, my future sister-in-law can only be Sister Min, Luo Lanlan, if you say another word, you'll scram home immediately." Just as the young girl finished speaking, a furious voice sounded. Luo Jejun looked at the young girl with a warning expression and spoke. Suddenly hearing her big brother's voice, the young girl named Luo Lanlan was stunned. Then, she pouted and continued, "It's true. I like Sister Min, This young girl, who was dressed like a doll, was called Luo Lanlan. She was Luo Jejun and Luo Jechen's biological sister. After hearing Luo Jejun's words, although Luo Lanlan was unwilling, she still twitched the corner of her mouth and resisted. When Wei Min heard Luo Lanlan's words, she was happy for a moment. Even if it was just a little bit related to Luo Jejun, Wei Min would still be very excited. However, on the surface, Wei Min still had to pretend to be a very good sister. She coughed, then pulled Luo Lanlan's hand and said, "Lanlan, Sister Min, likes you too. But Lin, is also my sister. She left home for more than 10 years and has no one to rely on outside. I feel very sad. I don't know what kind of life she's living outside, As she spoke, Wei Min wiped the corners of her eyes that did not have any tears at all. "Sister Min, you're so nice. It's Big Brother's fortune to have married you." Luo Lanlan was a very gullible young girl. She really believed Wei Min's words. At that time, Yun Jian did not say anything. As soon as Luo Lanlan and Wei Min spoke, she walked past them and went upstairs. Seeing Yun Jian going upstairs, Luo Jejun wanted to chase after her, but was stopped by Luo Lanlan. Therefore, Luo Jejun could only watch as Yun Jian went upstairs. In his heart, he thought that he must secretly go up and find Yun Jian later. Yun Jian didn't want to attend the Wei family's small party at all. She planned to go back to her room and sleep. Just as he opened the door to his room and closed the door, a black shadow suddenly pounced on him. After the black shadow pounced on him, he closed the door with a click. In the next second, the shadow wrapped her in his arms. Yun Jian also felt a familiar aura, so she let him go. "Xiao Jian." Si Yi's voice rang as expected. Didn't you go to the God's continent?" Yun Jian was just about to ask. Si Yi covered Yun Jian's mouth and pressed Yun Jian against the door, kissing her for a few minutes. After the kiss, Si Yi had taken off her clothes and pants, leaving only her underwear. Then, someone pressed Yun Jian against the door and went straight to the point. Outside the corridor, Luo Jejun, who had finally managed to avoid his younger sister Luo Lanlan and Wei Min, was searching Yun Jian's room one by one. Luo Jejun had asked Wei Zhe about Yun Jian's room just now, so he was confident when he came looking for her. Luo Jejun had just arrived outside the room he and Yun Jian were staying in. Delighted, he was going to knock on the door. However, the door shook a few times as if someone was doing something unspeakable on the door. Then, a moan rang in the room. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 23:32. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. That light breathing sound, which could not be heard clearly if one did not listen carefully, was, Luo Jejun's eyelids twitched violently, as if he had been electrocuted, his whole body trembling. Wasn't the sound coming from Wei Lin's room? This sound, coupled with the door that was shaking. Luo Jejun's brows furrowed tightly at the same time. He walked over with his heart in his mouth. Wei Lin. Wei Lin. Wei Lin. The moment he furrowed his brows, Luo Jejun rushed towards the shaking door almost at the same time. Wei Lin, are you in there? Are you in there? Huh? Can you answer me? Luo Jiejun's first thought was that there was a guest from the Wei family downstairs dragging Yun Jian into the room and forcing himself on her. In reality, Luo Jiejun's guess was right. Inside, Ce was staring at Yun Jian, who only bloomed for him with a pair of starry eyes. He had one hand on the door and the other on her slender waist, pressing Yun Jian against the door and doing something shameful. The knocking and shouting outside the door reached Ce's ears. Hearing this, Ce's eyes flashed sharply, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and his movements became faster and more violent. Yun Jian covered her mouth, almost moaning loudly. She almost couldn't hold it in, but his face was still calm, as if she was the only one doing this, and he was just watching from the side. Outside the room, Luo Jiejun was about to break down. He, Luo Jiejun, the eldest son of the Luo family, finally had an interest in a girl, but that girl was now being pressed against the door. Thinking of this, Luo Jiejun felt like he was going crazy. Wei Lin. Wei Lin. Wei Lin. Luo Jiejun knocked on the door for a while. This knocking attracted Luo Lanlan and Wei Min, who were looking for Luo Jiejun, who had just realized that he was missing, and came over. Brother Jiejun. Why are you here? When Wei Min saw that Luo Jiejun had just shaken her off and actually went to Yun Jian's boudoir, her anger was ignited in an instant. Do you have the key to your sister Wei Lin's bedroom? Open the door. Luo Jiejun asked loudly almost at the same time when he saw Wei Min. Wei Min had known Luo Jiejun for a long time, but this was the first time she saw Luo Jiejun looking at her with such a nervous expression. One had to know that Luo Jiejun, the most popular guy in Imperial College, was the future successor of Luo's group. Even if the sky fell, Luo Jiejun would never panic. But today, Luo Jiejun was actually standing at the door of that little bitch Wei Lin's bedroom and shouting at her. Disgust flashed through Wei Min's heart. She clenched her fists, but considering that she had to show off in front of Luo Jiejun, Wei Min turned around to get the keys. About 5 minutes later, Wei Min came back with a key. This is the key to Lin Er's room. Brother Jiejun, what happened to Lin Er? Wei Min hesitated to give the key to Luo Jiejun. Luo Jiejun did not even look at Wei Min. He walked over and took the key from Wei Min's hand. Brother, what's wrong with you? Sister Min Er is worried about you, so she hurriedly dragged me to look for you. Why are you still treating Sister Min like this? Even Luo Jiejun's sister, Luo Lanlan, pursed her lips and said unhappily. But Luo Jiejun was thinking about Yun Jian at this moment. He could not be bothered with his sister and Wei Min at all. He inserted the key into Yun Jian's bedroom door and twisted it open. Luo Jiejun could not wait to open the door when he suddenly saw, translator, Atlas Studios editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2333. Page 1/1. The moment the door opened, Yun Jian was standing at the entrance. She wore a long shirt that ended at her knees, the loose-fitting garment covering her alluring figure. Her hair was damp and her skin was as smooth and delicate as a newborn baby's. A pinch of her cheeks was enough to squeeze water out of them. The moment the door was opened, a barking sound came from inside. Woof, woof. Woof, woof, woof. Following that, a snow-white little dog came out of Yun Jian's room, wagging its tail. From its expression, it seemed to be very impatient. There was a trace of red on the snow-white puppy's forehead. It was obvious that this dog was the culprit behind all the banging on the door. At least, that was what Luo Jiejun thought. Luo Jiejun's expression froze, and he was startled. His expression did not look good. What's the matter? Yun Jian was holding a towel, and was wiping her wet black hair. This was the first time Luo Jiejun and Wei Min saw Yun Jian with her ponytail scattered over her shoulders. Yun Jian with her hair scattered over her shoulders gave people a different kind of beauty. Especially after taking a bath, Yun Jian's skin was even smoother and more delicate. Her fair face, coupled with her sharp eyes. At this moment, Luo Jiejun felt as if he was looking at a fairy who had accidentally fallen into the mortal world. Even Luo Jejun himself did not realize that his gaze was fixated on Yunjian, as if he was a pervert. Brother Jejun. Did you just think that something had happened to Lin? Look at Lin, isn't she fine? Lin, must be tired and wants to sleep early. I think we shouldn't disturb her sleep. Let's go. Seeing how Luo Jejun's eyes were glued to Yunjian like magnets, Wei Min's womanly jealousy exploded. She tugged at Luo Jejun's arm in an attempt to pull him away. In the future, don't randomly open my door. Unless you're tired of living, I can be merciful and send you on your way. Right after Wei Min said that, Yunjian spoke up with a cold expression. After she finished speaking, she didn't give Wei Min, Luo Jejun, and Luo Lanlan a chance to react. She stretched out her slender and beautiful hand and closed the door. After Yunjian closed the door, Luo Jejun was still unable to react to Yunjian's beauty for a long time. He was stunned for a while before he was led away by Wei Min. "Tsk, what are you talking about? You're acting like a rich young lady, and you're not letting me open the door. Wasn't she just someone who was found after being separated for 10 years? Hadn't she tasted the bitterness of the past? How could she throw a tantrum so quickly? Tsk, how shameless." After Luo Lanlan heard what Yunjian said, she was subconsciously implanted with negative thoughts about Yunjian because Wei Min had pulled her aside to badmouth Yunjian just now. Therefore, Luo Lanlan's first thought after listening to Yunjian was to mock Yunjian. Luo Jejun, Wei Min, and Luo Lanlan finally went downstairs. In the bedroom. Just as Yunjian closed the door, Ce, who was standing in the bathroom beside the bedroom, hugged Yunjian from behind. Since Yunjian was wearing a long top, it covered her thighs. She wore nothing underneath her long legs. "Xiao Jian, you're mine." Ce said nothing else. After he hugged Yunjian, one of his hands slid under Yunjian's top. Translator, Henyi Translations Editor, Henyi Translations. Chapter 2334. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. The night was long. In the Wei family's living room, guests from all walks of life were celebrating. Upstairs, in Yunjian's room, it was a romantic scene. Ce stayed in Yunjian's room for the night before leaving. He was supposed to return to the God's continent, but before he left the Inhun organization, he came here to look for Yunjian because he missed her. Ce had a lot of things to do today, so he shouldn't have come to Puyuo City to look for Yunjian. However, he hadn't seen Yunjian for a few days. His thoughts overshadowed his rationality, so Ce took the time to look for Yunjian. He also did it with the woman he loved while he was at it. As for Luo Jejun, Ce didn't even ask Yunjian about it. That was because Ce trusted Yunjian from the bottom of his heart. Without love, there was no need for a heart-to-heart talk. Both parties could tell with just a glance that the other party was even more intimate. 3 days had passed since the Wei family's small dinner party. 3 days later, Luo Jichen had a new discovery. "Hey! Wei Lin, let me tell you, I've got new information. Didn't something happen at the construction site and then it was sealed off by the police? But 15 days later, the police invited experts to the construction site to investigate the case. With my ability, it's not impossible to bring people in to take a look. That's because the professional is my dad's friend. How about it, do you want to take a look?" Luo Jichen had been trying his best to please Yunjian these days. He couldn't wait to tell Yunjian all the information he had. That was because Luo Jichen's phone had been breaking down more and more recently. Initially, it would break down once every 2 days, but recently, it had been breaking down twice or thrice a day. It wasn't that Yunjian didn't fix it well, but that Luo Jichen had gone overboard. Hearing Luo Jichen's words, Yunjian's eyes moved. She nodded and said, "Your phone broke down again? Ah, Wei Lin, you're too amazing. How did you find out that my phone was broken again? Don't tell me you have the ability to predict the future." Hearing Yunjian's words, Luo Jichen was stunned for a moment before he spoke. My phone is broken. The more you investigate this matter for me, the more diligent you are. Yun Jian pointed out Luo Jiachen's secret in one sentence. Hearing this, Luo Jiachen pursed his lips. It seemed that he was indeed like that. Monday, rally. Imperial College, Big Field. The principal of the Imperial College solemnly announced on the rostrum that the male students of the Imperial College would have a fencing competition 3 days later. The fencing competition was a unique event of the Imperial College. The fencing competition will be held in front of all the teachers and students. And this fencing competition was a competition that had been passed down since the founding of the Imperial College in the last century. The students studying in the Imperial College were not like other schools. Most of the students here were from rich families, so the college would have many activities like fencing competitions, which would be held in front of all the teachers and students. This year's fencing competition will officially begin 3 days later. If there are any male students who would like to sign up for the fencing competition, please go to the registration office to sign up. The rewards for this year's fencing competition are rich. One of the rewards is that if you win the first place, second place, and third place in the fencing competition, I will allow you to go to the forbidden area of our Imperial College. At the same time, there will be many other rewards, so I hope that everyone will sign up enthusiastically, so that our school's unique fencing competition can be passed down and carried forward. Top reading website, M. Chapter 2335. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Chapter 2335 Campus Rebirth. The strongest female Secret Service agent. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 2336. The fencing competition was the symbol of the Imperial College. It was also the legacy of the Imperial College's founder, John, who brought it from country Y in the last century. The first person who founded the Imperial College, John, was an aristocrat in country Y. During John's era, the leader of country Y was the queen, a woman. Therefore, the status of women in country Y was not low. When John first came to country Z to build the Imperial College, he advocated equality between men and women. Therefore, girls could participate in the fencing competition with boys and would not be mocked. At that time, the girls were also very brave. Indeed, there were many champions, runners-up, and third-place finishers in the annual fencing competition. But today, the girls were afraid of leaving a bad impression in front of the boys, so no one signed up for the fencing competition. Part of the reason was that they were afraid of being mocked. The fencing competition also changed from a heroic battle of the past to something that the boys could show off in front of the girls. Back to the main topic, the most recent time that a girl from the Imperial College won the championship was 50 years ago. For 50 years, no girl from the Imperial College could break the record of winning the championship again. It was not that no girl had ever participated in the competition. Take last year's annual fencing competition as an example. There were a few courageous girls who signed up for it. Not to mention breaking the record that no girl had won the championship again in 50 years, it was quite difficult to even get into the top 100 contestants. And the person who won the championship for 3 consecutive years was Luo Jiajun. Who was Luo Jiajun? He was the eldest son of the Luo group, the future successor. His studies, appearance, and strength were on par. He had participated in the fencing competition for 3 years and had never lost. Therefore, when Yun Jian said this, everyone was dumbfounded. You said you want to win the championship of this year's fencing competition? Do you know what you are saying? Let's not talk about whether you have learned fencing or not. Our Master Jun has won the championship for 3 years. Master Jun is not only proficient in fencing, but also in fighting. Master Jun once stopped a group of 30 people from fighting. He beat the 30 people up so badly that they did not dare to disobey him. What about you? What qualifications do you have to compete with our Master Jun? Moreover, there are so many outstanding talents in our college. You're just a new transfer student. After hearing Yun Jian's words, the girl who was grooming herself in front of the mirror couldn't help but stand up and refute Yun Jian loudly. Exactly. Young Master Jun is handsome, his conduct is good, and his family background is even better. Who do you think you are? Did she think that she could surpass young Master Jun in terms of strength just because she had gotten close to young Master Chen? Or do you think that you're amazing just because young Master Jun pays a little attention to you? Let me tell you, young Master Jun is just playing with you because you're new to him. Who knows, he might get sick of you in 2 days. As soon as Yun Jian arrived, she immediately attracted the attention of the 2 most handsome men in the academy. The girls had long had opinions about Yun Jian. Now that she had the opportunity, she really thought that she had grasped Yun Jian's weakness and began to fight back with fierce words. What right did she have to attract the attention of the 2 most handsome men in their college? She was the youngest daughter of the Wei family who had just been found after being separated from the Wei family for 10 years. Yun Jian was talking about the fencing competition, but the girls in the class kept on talking about other things. Yun Jian sneered and couldn't be bothered with them anymore. She put her hands in her trouser pockets and walked out of the classroom, ignoring the group of girls who kept on talking behind her. Enough. All of you, shut up. If you keep on talking, I'll sell you to the women's brothel. Luo Jichen shouted when he heard the girls' discussion. Reality proved that the Luo family's little tyrant, Luo Jichen, still had his dignity. The group of girls trembled in fear when they heard Luo Jichen's shout. They immediately swallowed their saliva and didn't dare to make a sound. Luo Jichen glared at the group of girls again, then chased after Yun Jian. At the registration area of the college's fencing department, a good-looking boy was sitting at a desk at the registration area, registering the students who had signed up for the fencing competition. This good-looking boy had his head lowered. He didn't raise his head after registering a few students' names. He only wrote down the name and class. Name, class, the boy said after he finished registering. The next student who had signed up for the fencing competition immediately spoke up. Wei Lin, Year 1, Class 1. The boy's face froze when he heard this beautiful female voice. A female voice, a girl had signed up for the fencing competition? The boy suddenly raised his head and looked at the person who had signed up. When he saw that person, a look of surprise and astonishment flashed across his face. Please remember the domain name of this book, .com, Wonderful Book Mobile Version Website, .com. Chapter 2337. You really want to participate in the fencing competition? The boy looked at Yun Jian, swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and repeated the question. Write it. Yun Jian, who was standing in front of the boy, didn't directly answer the boy's question. Instead, she simply said this sentence. Perhaps Yun Jian's gaze was too frightening, the boy trembled after hearing it. Then, the boy didn't dare to ask any more. He moved his hand and wrote down Yun Jian's name and class. The boy secretly cursed in his heart. This girl looks so thin and weak. Is she serious about participating in the fencing competition? But this sentence, the boy only cursed in his heart and didn't say it out loud. After Yun Jian finished signing up, Luo Jichen, who also finished signing up, walked out of the fencing department's registration area. Halfway through, she bumped into Luo Jejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min. Seeing Yun Jian, Luo Jejun's eyes flashed with obvious surprise. But he didn't show it on his face. Luo Jejun stopped Yun Jian and asked, Wei Lin, you came with Jichen to sign up? Subconsciously, Luo Jejun thought that Yun Jian wouldn't come here to sign up for the fencing competition. She was just a girl. No. Brother, I came with her to sign up, and I also signed up for myself. Luo Jichen quickly explained after hearing Luo Jejun's words. Hearing Luo Jichen's words, Yun Jian's brother, Wei Zhe, was stunned and questioned loudly, You want to sign up for the fencing competition? Why not? Hearing Wei Zhe's question, Yun Jian raised her eyebrows and coldly said. If you want to participate in the fencing competition, it's fine if you win, but if you lose, you'll lose our Wei family's face. So, hurry up and withdraw from the fencing competition. Go and remove the names from the list right now. Wei Zhe couldn't help but order Yun Jian. At this point, Wei Zhe, who thought that he was Yun Jian's brother, wanted to grab Yun Jian's hand and drag Yun Jian to the fencing department's registration area to force Yun Jian to remove the name. Unexpectedly, Wei Zhe wanted to grab Yun Jian's hand and drag her away by force, but before his hand could touch her, Yun Jian dodged his hand with a sidestep. In an instant, everyone present heard Yun Jian's extremely cold voice, as cold as -degrees Celsius. So, are you ordering me? Wei. Lin, our brother's thinking for you. You can't be so willful. You said you've been separated for 10 years, so when did you learn fencing? You didn't even participate in the family's special training. That's why, how are you going to compete with those who are strong? Let's stop. Wei Min wanted to kill Yun Jian, so she almost lost control and spoke to Yun Jian viciously in front of everyone. Fortunately, she stopped herself in time. Before Wei Min could finish, however, just as everyone thought that Yun Jian should have realized her mistake, a voice rang out. Suddenly, a figure flashed in front of them. Yun Jian, who was in front of them, moved to Wei Zhe's back in a flash like a flash of lightning. Wei Zhe was shocked. He quickly turned around and reached out. However, no matter how fast Wei Zhe's reaction was, Yun Jian immediately grabbed his arm when he reached out. In the next second, Yun Jian grabbed the joints of his arm and hit them twice. Wei Zhe was shocked to realize that when Yun Jian hit his arm, it was as if his acupoints were hit and he couldn't exert any strength. What's going on? What kind of skill is this? Before Wei Zhe could react, Yun Jian had already let go of Wei Zhe's hand and kicked Wei Zhe's lower waist from behind. Wei Zhe staggered forward a few steps before he stabilized himself. This scene caused an uproar in the audience. However, just as the people present witnessed Yun Jian's attack for the first time and were shocked by Yun Jian's speed, accuracy, and ruthlessness, they heard Yun Jian's words again. There was a hint of arrogance in her words that no one could go against. Before the end of the competition, both of your hands can no longer hold anything. I'll accept your hands. I won't kill you, but remember, you're not the only person in this world who dares to order me around. However, the only person who ordered me around and didn't get killed by me is you, my good brother. Please remember the domain name of this book, mobile version of reading website. Chapter 2338. Yun Jian's words were loud and clear, and they echoed throughout the hall. Everyone was shocked when they heard Yun Jian's words. She accepted his hand? What did that mean? Just as everyone was stunned by Yun Jian's arrogant tone but did not know what she meant, Yun Jian's voice rang out. What did you do to my hand? Why can't I use my hand? A nervous voice suddenly sounded. Everyone's expression froze when they heard this. They turned to look at the source of the voice, and it was Wei Zhe. Wei Zhe's hand was like a pile of mud after being hit by Yun Jian at the joints. It was difficult for him to even raise his hand. Not to mention whether he could hold the foil in the fencing competition 3 days later. Boom! Everyone's faces turned pale when they heard Wei Zhe's words. What Zhe are you talking about? She can make your hand lose its strength? Hong Ling grabbed Wei Zhe's hand and asked in shock. Wei Zhe tried many times but the parts of his arm that Yun Jian had grabbed and tapped on were immobilized. His expression darkened before he uttered in fear, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I really can't move. Wei Zhe looked at Yun Jian with fear for the first time. He felt that his sister, who had returned to the Wei family after being separated for 10 years, was so mysterious and scary. Wei Lin. What did you do to Big Brother? Big Brother is representing the Wei family in the fencing competition 3 days later. What did you go through outside? Why are you so vicious? Wei Min did not hesitate to shout at Yun Jian when she saw that. Wei Min wasn't stupid. She spoke to Yun Jian in such a way in front of Luo Jejun because it would be abnormal if she wasn't angry at Yun Jian. Vicious? Yun Jian sneered when she heard Wei Min's words. You even want to poison your own brother. You've already lost your mind. Wei Lin, I sincerely welcome you back to the Wei family. As your elder sister, I have been worried about your safety day and night for the past 10 years that you were separated from me. I was so worried that I woke up in the middle of the night. I dreamed that you were crying and shouting that you were scared and wanted to go home. When I woke up at night, I couldn't stop crying because I was worried about you. But you even wanted to harm our own brother. How did you become like this? As Wei Min spoke, tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. Those who didn't know would really think that Wei Min was sad and worried about Yun Jian. She played the role of a good sister perfectly. In fact, Wei Min was indeed so frightened that she woke up in the middle of the night. Due to Wei Lin's disappearance, she was so frightened that she couldn't stop crying. That was because Wei Min had dreamt that she had purposely fabricated the story of her younger sister, Wei Lin, who had accidentally gone missing. She had dreamt that Wei Lin had died and had turned into a malicious spirit to seek revenge. Therefore, Wei Min had been scared awake and cried. This was completely true. Then, what kind of person did you think I was in the beginning? Just as Wei Min was crying in front of everyone with a face of a good sister, Yun Jian's voice suddenly rang out. Kind-hearted? Bullied by you? From what you're saying, it seems that you're all right? After Yun Jian finished speaking, her red arc rose. In the next second, the rising red arc fell. Luo Jiejun and the others were taken aback by the nonchalant look on her face. What she said next rang out abruptly and echoed throughout the hall, You're right. You're right. I'm sorry, I'm not that kind of person. Vicious? I'll be very responsible to tell you that a group of people once said that I was the most terrifying devil in the world. I think the word vicious is an underestimation of me. So, if you want to see how vicious I can be, you can give it a try. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2339. Normally, when a girl heard others say that she was vicious, she would either try to defend herself or try her best to salvage the vicious image she left in front of others. However, Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, and everyone else present had never seen someone like Yun Jian. When people said that she had a vicious heart, they were comparing her to a vicious villain. However, not only did she admit that she had a vicious heart, she even said such words to everyone present. The scariest demon in the world. Then, he thought about what Yun Jian said to Ling Qianqian when she faced her. Luo Jiejun's eyes turned sharp. What kind of past did she have? Why was it that the more he wanted to get closer to her and the more he wanted to understand her, the more secrets he discovered about her? Where had she been for the past 10 years? What kind of life had she lived? In spite of that, Luo Jiejun's interest in Yun Jian grew as more and more secrets piled up on her. He wanted to pry open her inner world and see what she had gone through in the past. If Luo Jiejun had looked at Yun Jian differently before, then at this moment, Luo Jiejun's curiosity about Yun Jian had been completely aroused. Yun Jian's words had a magical power that made people unable to remain calm. For some reason, after Wei Min heard Yun Jian's words, she couldn't help but shiver. Then, she stared at Yun Jian for 2 seconds. She was about to speak. Miss Xiao Xiao, bad news. Something has happened. Something big has happened. Hurry and come back with me. Just as Wei Min was about to speak, a hurried voice sounded. Looking closely, the person who came was actually the Wei family's head butler, someone sent by the Wei family's old master, Wei Xiao. Suddenly seeing the Wei family's head butler rushing to the school to find her, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. In the next second, she didn't want to be entangled with Wei Min and the others. She quickly caught up with the Wei family's head butler and walked back to the Wei family. Before the Wei family's head butler left, he stopped Wei Min, Wei Zhe, and the others. Please don't go together. Something big has happened. If the young masters and young ladies go together, they might lose their lives. What about her? She's already gone. As a man, I can't back out. Luo Jejun said as he pushed the Wei family's head steward aside and followed after him. Wei Min liked Luo Jejun, so she naturally couldn't watch Luo Jejun go alone. And Wei Zhe wanted to protect his sister, so he naturally followed along. As for Luo Jichen and Hong Ling, because they were brothers, they also followed. On the way, the Wei family's head butler explained the situation clearly. A group of people rushed into the house and captured Old Master. They even let me out and asked me to bring young Miss back within an hour. Otherwise, they will. The head steward of the Wei clan stopped speaking at this point. However, everyone present could feel that returning to the Wei clan would definitely be a battle of life and death. Yun Jian got out of the car and said to them coldly, "You don't have to come here to die. They're targeting me." With that, Yun Jian walked towards the entrance of the Wei residence. "I'll go with you. I'm strong enough to protect you," Luo Jejun said. But just as Luo Jejun said this, he saw that Yun Jian had already arrived at the entrance of the Wei residence. Before stepping into the Wei residence, Luo Jejun and the others suddenly saw Yun Jian take off her cotton-padded clothes. She was wearing a black tights and black tights underneath. There were countless knives and pistols strapped to her thighs and waist. There was also an eagle claw strapped to the back of her waist. She looked even more like a special agent in the movies. Luo Jejun was stunned when he saw this. Wei Min, Wei Zhe, Hong Ling, and Luo Jichen were stunned as well. The head butler of the Wei clan was also stunned. However, just as everyone was stunned, they heard a sniper rifle sweep toward Yun Jian. At that moment, Yun Jian tilted her head. In the next second, she pulled out 2 butterfly knives from her thighs and held them in her hands. With the blades pointed downwards, she rushed into the Wei residence's entrance. But in the next second, Yun Jian's actions frightened the few people who couldn't react in time. Their faces turned ashen. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2340. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Guessing Yun Jian's True Identity, page 1/1. In front of everyone present, Yun Jian held the butterfly knives tightly with both hands. The blades of the knives were pointed downwards as she dodged the sniper's bullets. It was as if she knew exactly what path the sniper would take to shoot her. Left, right, front, back. Every dodge was a dangerous move. She managed to avoid the sniper's bullets from afar. There were a few times when she missed by just a few millimeters and would have died. As for the snipers who were shooting at Yun Jian, it was obvious that they were going to kill her. The bullets from the sniper were like a scene in a rain of bullets. Dozens of people were sniping at Yun Jian from high up in the air, and Yun Jian was always able to escape at the crucial moment of life and death. Her skills, her capability, and her various performances were as if she was born in a world of bullets and bullets. Just as she had said earlier. She had said that Ling Qianqian's life was something she had never dared to imagine before. In her world, as long as she dared to close her eyes and sleep, someone would send her to her death. If she wanted to live, her hands had to be stained with blood. In order to live, she would not hesitate to kill everyone around her, including her friends. In the past, Luo Jejun and the others did not believe Yun Jian's words. Who did she think she was? A world-class figure? Someone wanted to kill her just because she was asleep. But just now, Luo Jejun, Wei Zhe, and the others suddenly realized something. When they saw Yun Jian moving so nimbly in the rain of bullets, they were stunned. Their first reaction after being stunned was panic. They had heard from the Wei family's butler that the group of people had kidnapped Wei Xiao to capture the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin. Just as everyone was thinking about this, Yun Jian entered the Wei family's house under the sniper's bullets and disappeared before everyone's eyes. Luo Jejun, Wei Zhe, and the others were scared pale. Part of the reason was because of Yun Jian's ability to dodge bullets. Another part was because Yun Jian's actions were exactly the same as the world she had described not long ago. She was someone from the rain of bullets. Then who was her true identity? Luo Jejun furrowed his brows. His face was full of shock. He looked in the direction Yunjian went and fell into deep thought. F***CK. F***CK, F***CK. Wei Lin, she. Not only is she good at fixing phones. She's also amazing. Luo Jiejun, Luo Mu, Luo translation for translation. Yunjian's words Luo Jiao translation. Yunjian translation. Yunjian Luo. Translation. Is Yunjian. Wei Min was also stunned. Then, she swallowed a mouthful of saliva and turned her head to Luo Jiejun. She asked Luo Jiejun in a trembling voice, Brother Jiejun, no matter how powerful she is, she's still no match for you, right? When she asked this, Wei Min spoke to Luo Jiejun in an uncertain tone, but she desperately hoped that she was speaking in the right tone. However, as soon as she said this, Wei Min heard Luo Jiejun speak. Based on what happened just now, I'm still not sure who's more powerful between me and her. But one thing I'm sure of is that if it were me, there's no way I'd be able to rush into the Wei family's house alive under so many sniper rifles. As soon as he said this, Wei Zhe, Hong Ling, Luo Jiejun, and Wei Min were all stunned. Then, they all shut their mouths. The Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who had been lost for 10 years and was finally found. Where had she been for the past 10 years? What kind of life had she been living? Why would her enemies come looking for her? What kind of identity and status did she have in the world she spoke of? Who exactly was she? Just as everyone was deep in thought, Hong Ling suddenly recalled something. He turned his head abruptly and looked at everyone. He immediately said in a shocked tone, could it be as she said, that she really came from an assassin organization? Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2341. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. She's from an assassin organization? How is this possible? Wei Min refuted loudly and exaggeratedly before anyone could react to Hong Ling's words. How is that not possible? Min, I remember that your sister was only 8 years old when she was lost, right? Moreover, she was kidnapped into a van and taken away right in front of you. Their assassin organization likes to kidnap girls like this to train their assassins or agents. Your sister was only 8 years old then. It's normal for her to be sent to an assassin organization and undergo inhumane training. Hong Ling obviously had some understanding of the International Assassin Organization. That was why he was able to make such a clear statement in front of everyone. If Wei Lin was really from an assassin organization, it would not be unreasonable for her to be so powerful. However, everyone knew that the special agents or killers who could come out of the assassin organization were all very powerful people. Wei Min could not convince herself that Yunjian was a powerful person. Why? She had been separated from Wei Lin for so many years. She received so much attention the moment she came back. She was even kidnapped to an assassin organization and was even more powerful than her when she came back. This shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Then what was the point of her tricking the 8-year-old Wei Lin and throwing her away? The people in the van did not pay attention to Hong Ling's words. Even Hong Ling himself was just spouting nonsense. However, no one expected Wei Min to react so strongly. For a moment, everyone in the van had their own thoughts. Around the Wei family mansion. There were many men with guns standing around the Wei family mansion. They were walking back and forth around the mansion. It was obvious that this group of people had Wei Xiao and the rest of the Wei family under control. At the back door of the Wei family mansion, 2 men with guns were walking back and forth. There were many people who looked the same as these 2 men standing around the Wei family mansion. Even if there was any news, it would not escape their eyes. Tsk tisk. Just then, 2 soft sounds were heard. As soon as the sound rang out, a gust of wind blew past and covered the subtle sound of a knife piercing into a person's flesh. 2 butterfly knives stabbed into the hearts of the 2 men who were walking around the back door of the Wei residence with guns in their hands. A figure rolled out from the bushes. Yun Jian pulled out the butterfly knife from the two men's hearts. The two men didn't even have time to make a sound before they breathed their last. After putting away the butterfly knife, Yun Jian grabbed the back of the two men's collars and threw them into the tall grass. Then, she flashed into the Wei family's villa. Outside the Wei family's villa, there were so many people waiting to capture Yun Jian that not even a fly could sneak into the Wei family's villa. However, no one knew that someone had already snuck into the back door of the Wei clan's villa, the Wei clan's main hall. The old master of the Wei clan, Wei Xiao, and his wife, Wang Ruoya, were tied up in the middle of the Wei clan's main hall. Standing in front of him was an old man in his 60s. This old man, who was about 60 years old, was standing in place with a face full of hatred. He saw the Wei family's door open and a subordinate walk in. When he saw his subordinate, the old man frowned and asked, "Is she dead?" "No." 30 snipers locked onto her at the same time, but she dodged all the bullets from the sniper rifles. She escaped. The subordinate's heart trembled as he spoke in fear. "Trash." The old man walked over and kicked the underling in the abdomen, sending the underling flying 10 meters away. Wei Xiao and his wife, Wang Ruoya, couldn't help but tremble in fear when they heard the subordinate's words. 30 snipers had attacked a single person, yet that person had still managed to escape alive. Who was this person to have such heaven-defying strength? Just as everyone in the hall was panicking, an indifferent female voice suddenly rang out. Her flat and indifferent words startled the fear in everyone's hearts. The boss of T Nation's underground black market, Limu. "You're really in the mood. I haven't settled the score with you for the failed assassination last time, and you've come knocking on my door today?" Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2342. Page 1/1. That's right, Limu was the boss of Country T's underground black market. He was also the mastermind behind the assassination attempt on Yun Jian a few days ago. A few days ago, the group of people suddenly fired machine guns at Yun Jian, but Yun Jian snatched the machine guns away. Just as she was about to reveal the mastermind behind the assassination attempt, she said the word and was shot from a high altitude. At the same time, as the boss of Country T's underground black market, Limu was also the biological father of Xianyu, whom Yun Jian killed in Marilena's tomb. Outsiders only knew that Xianyu worked for Country T's underground black market boss Limu, but they didn't know that Limu was Xianyu's biological father. Today, Limu found Yun Jian and sent people to assassinate Yun Jian. It wasn't hard to explain that he wanted to take revenge on Yun Jian for his son Xianyu. Woo woo woo. Woo woo. When Wang Ruoya saw Yun Jian, she almost fainted. Because her mouth was covered, Wang Ruoya could only blow air into her mouth. Yun Jian's current identity was Wang Ruoya's youngest daughter, Wei Lin. When Wang Ruoya saw Yun Jian, she thought that she had come back to die, so she tried her best to make Yun Jian leave as soon as possible. Wei Xiao knew that Yun Jian wasn't her biological daughter, so she didn't have much of a reaction. When Limu saw Yun Jian, his entire body trembled. Then, Limu's subordinates who were armed with machine guns surrounded Yun Jian as well. "You!" Limu did not expect Yun Jian to avoid being surrounded by the people he had brought with him outside the Wei family's villa and arrive at the living room so quickly. His expression changed abruptly. "As expected, you're just like your son Xianyu. You have a strong presence, but in reality, you're a useless piece of trash." In front of Limu's subordinates who were holding machine guns, Yun Jian crossed her arms lazily and pursed her lips. She didn't look afraid at all. You. How do you know Xianyu is my son?" Limu was stunned, and wanted to say something. In the eyes of outsiders, Xianyu and Limu's relationship was just Xianyu following Limu's gang, that was all. The number of people who knew that Xianyu was his biological son could be counted on one hand. The strength of the young girl in front of him had greatly exceeded his expectations. Just as Limu was about to speak, Yun Jian didn't give him the chance. Facing the dozen or so machine guns in front of her, she took 2 steps forward without a hint of fear, then spoke to Limu in front of everyone. "Old thing, didn't you investigate me before you sent someone to assassinate me?" When Limu heard Yunjian's words, his heart skipped a beat. He really didn't investigate Yunjian's specific identity. But after he found out that Yunjian killed his son, he immediately sent people to assassinate Yunjian. What do you mean by that? Limu's heart trembled when he heard Yunjian's words. Wei Xiao knew that Yunjian wasn't his biological daughter, especially when he found out that Limu was the boss of Country Tea's underground black market. Wei Xiao was even more suspicious of Yunjian's true identity. She actually offended the boss of Country Tea's underground black market. However, after listening to their conversation, Wei Xiao's heart trembled violently. "So you really didn't investigate me," Yunjian sneered. Her words sent a chill down Limu's spine. He instinctively called the informant who found out that Yunjian was the one who killed Xianyu. When Limu asked the informant about Yunjian's specific information and heard his reply, the phone in Limu's hand fell to the ground. He looked at Yunjian, his face pale with fright. You. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2343. Limu did investigate Yunjian, but he didn't investigate Yunjian's identity. He only found out that Yunjian was the person who killed his son Xianyu. She was just a little girl in her teens. What could she possibly do? Limu didn't even investigate Yunjian's actual identity. He only investigated Yunjian's basic identity before he brought his men to assassinate Yunjian. Limu almost went crazy because he wanted to avenge his son Xianyu. But he forgot to use his authority to investigate Yunjian's identity on the biggest intelligence platform. There was an international intelligence platform that specialized in collecting information. It was connected to the Kosha mercenaries' intelligence team. This intelligence platform was formed by many internationally renowned intelligence groups, such as Gu Sha Mercenaries Intelligence Group. It was an integrated platform. And on this intelligence platform, any information, even international news, as long as one paid, could be inquired about. It could be said that this was the gathering point of the intelligence platform. The informant who answered Limu's call just now was the staff of the intelligence platform who had found out that Yunjian was the one who killed Xianyu after his death. When Limu looked at Yunjian, his face was pale with fright. Wei Xiao and Wang Ruoya were confused. Limu's subordinates were stunned and didn't know what to do. "Dad. Mom." A panicked female voice came from the bathroom in the living room. Everyone turned to look and saw Wei Min standing near the bathroom not far from the living room. She was looking at Limu and his men with fear in her eyes. The Wei family was like the Luo family and Hong family, one of the 3 big families in Biyao City. They all relied on the underworld to make their fortune. In the beginning, they were worried that they would be hunted down by their enemies if they switched to the legal side. So, when the Wei family villa was being built, they built an underground secret tunnel. Wei Min and her men used the underground secret tunnel to avoid the group of people outside the Wei family villa and return to the Wei family villa. Woo! Woo woo woo. Wei Xiao didn't react when he saw Yunjian, but when he saw his daughter Wei Min and son Wei Zhe bringing a group of friends back to the Wei family, he started to shake his head desperately to signal them to run. But Wei Min didn't understand her father's meaning at all. She looked at Limu with fear and said to Limu, "Let go of my dad. Wei Lin caused this trouble, don't implicate my parents." As she spoke, Wei Min turned to Yunjian and spat with a hateful glare, "Yunjian, you're the one who's going to die. Wei Lin, you're too much. I really wanted you to come back to the Wei family, but you actually wanted to harm father and mother because of you." Before Wei Min could finish her words, Limu was the international intelligence platform was one of the top 10 public in the world. Is one of the top 10 people in the world. Most people knew about the international intelligence platform. Even Luo Jejun, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min knew about it. Everyone knew that the International Intelligence Platform was a place where you could get all the information you wanted as long as you were willing to pay the corresponding price. However, there was an exception in the International Intelligence Platform. That was, there were 10 public biographies and ambiguous portraits posted in the center of the International Intelligence Platform. The 10 resumes and portraits represented 10 people. These 10 people were the public figures of the International Intelligence Platform. No matter how much money the employer offered, the people of the International Intelligence Platform wouldn't dare to investigate their identities. It could be said that even the people of the International Intelligence Platform didn't dare to provoke those 10 people. They were afraid and terrified of them. That was a symbol of power, status, and identity. Li Mu's words spread throughout the venue, causing everyone to be stunned. However, before everyone could react to Li Mu's words, Li Mu had already stared at Yun Jian in front of everyone. Once again, he used a voice that was trembling with fear to ask Yun Jian, "Just now, the people of the International Intelligence Platform said that you're one of them. You're really one of the top 10 people in the world that they can't afford to provoke out of the 10 public portraits of the International Intelligence Platform. Please remember the domain name of this book." Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 2344. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1, Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. The International Intelligence Platform was located in the busiest part of Country M, and at the entrance of the first floor of the International Intelligence Platform's central building, there were 10 portraits of people that everyone knew. Some of the portraits only had a black shadow and a rough outline, and it was hard to tell if the person was male or female. However, all 10 portraits had their own unique characteristics. For example, they held a weapon that they were used to using, or they had a symbolic tattoo on their body, or they had a broken finger, or they had a scar on their face. However, there was no doubt that the people in the portraits were all people whose names were enough to make the International Intelligence Platform tremble. At the bottom of the 10 portraits, there were also simple biographies of the people in the portraits, which were known to all. Moreover, these 10 portraits were marked with the words "one of the top 10 most untouchable people in the world." Furthermore, the International Intelligence Platform's people publicly stated that no intelligence team would dare to investigate the people in the portraits. No matter how much money they offered, they would refuse to investigate the people in the portraits. This matter was not considered a secret. It was made public on the International Intelligence Platform, and anyone who knew a little about it knew about it. Therefore, when Li Mu repeated the same words to Yun Jian, whether it was Luo Jiejun, Luo Jiechen, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, Hong Ling, or even Wei Xiao and his wife Wang Ruoya, who were tied up and gagged by Li Mu's people, all of them were stunned. When everyone heard Li Mu repeat the same words, they were stunned on the spot, their mouths forming an O shape, their eyes unblinking, and their expressions changing drastically. Not to mention Luo Jiejun and the others, even Li Mu's group of brothers were stunned. They held their machine guns in their hands and did not move an inch. Everyone's expression could not escape the word fear. When Luo Jiejun heard this, he was the first to recover from his shock, and he was the first to speak to Li Mu in shock. The International Intelligence Platform's people said that she was one of the people in the portraits? The International Intelligence Platform you're talking about, is it the famous International Intelligence Platform formed by all the major international intelligence teams? Luo Jiejun rarely asked questions with such a stunned expression. Luo Jiejun, the young master of the Luo family and the future heir of the Luo group, who had always been mature and steady, had the demeanor of doing great things, uttered such words with such an expression. This was the first time Wei Min had seen something like this since she was young. Therefore, even Wei Min, who did not know about the 10 portraits on the International Intelligence Platform, had an incredible feeling for a moment. That's right, it's that platform. Li Mu panicked. Just now, when he asked the staff of the International Intelligence Platform Center to investigate Yun Jian's identity, the staff of the International Intelligence Platform Center directly refused him. They also said that Yun Jian was one of the 10 portraits, so the International Intelligence Platform Center, which claimed to be the world's top intelligence platform, had no way of tracking down Yun Jian's specific identity. Lima was, after all, someone who had been through a lot. He knew very well that in this world, if he met a strong opponent, he could not fight them head-on. I'm sorry for offending you just now. I hope you can forgive me. About my son Xianyu, I'll use the previous 2 unintentional assassinations as compensation. From now on, we don't owe each other anything. Let's go. Limu immediately saluted Yunjian, then gestured for his men to walk towards the door. Luo Jejun, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, and the rest instantly heaved a sigh of relief. Regardless of whether Yunjian was one of the 10 portraits on the international intelligence platform or not, it was a good thing that Lima decided to stop, so this matter would not implicate the Wei family. However, just as Luo Jejun and the rest thought that Yunjian was purposely minimizing this matter, they saw Yunjian standing at the same spot in front of everyone. She said arrogantly to Limu, who had yet to rush out of the Wei family's door. I'll give you 1 hour. If you can escape from Z country's borders, I'll let you go. If you can't, then, go to hell. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2345. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. How arrogant. How arrogant. She was more than arrogant. Everyone heard Yunjian's words, especially Luo Jejun, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min. Even if she really was one of the 10 portraits of the international intelligence platform that Lai Mu had mentioned, and was listed as one of the top 10 most untouchable people in the world, she was only one person. What about Lai Mu and his men? They were armed with lethal weapons and a large group of people. Yunjian was outnumbered. Lai Mu had just spared the Wei family and turned to leave when Yunjian called out to him again and said such words. She's crazy. The boss of Country T's black market had already retreated, but she still called out to him and said such provocative words. I really treat Lin, as my sister, but not only are we still here, even our parents are still trapped. She wants to send us into the fire pit. Wei Min hid behind Luo Jejun, Wei Zhe, and Hong Ling. To an outsider, Wei Min's words sounded right. She was praising Yunjian in front of Luo Jejun and the rest. Wei Min did not dare to say these words loudly. She only dared to say them in front of Luo Jejun and the rest to sow discord. As for Lai Mu, after hearing Yunjian's words, he stopped in his tracks. Pausing, Limu was taken aback. He did not reply to Yunjian after that as he led his men outside. Not long after, the battlefield that seemed to be filled with smoke quickly returned to normal. Dad. Mom. Wei Min was the first to rush up and untie Wei Xiao and Wang Ruoya's bindings and gagged mouths. Yunjian did not even look at Wei Xiao and Wang Ruoya as she walked up the stairs. Wei Lin, you're too much. Mom and Dad are tied up here because of you. After that person left with his men, you didn't even care about them and just walked up the stairs. You're too inhumane. Wei Zhe called out Yunjian's name. His face was dark as he spoke. As Yunjian's elder brother in name, Wei Zhe looked at Yunjian and asked in dissatisfaction after he said that, what do you think? What's going on with you? What's with the 10 portraits of the international intelligence platform? What's going on? Now that Mom and Dad are here, you'd better explain yourself. What did you do before you returned to the Wei family? What was your identity? Tell me clearly before you leave. What Wei Zhe said was what Luo Jejun, Hong, and Luo Jichen wanted to know as well. Hence, everyone looked at Yunjian with scrutiny after Wei Zhe spoke. Yun was. She was halfway up the stairs when she heard Wei Zhe. She was already halfway. She was. She was. She was. Then, she turned around in front of everyone and stared at them coldly. Suddenly, she uttered something that sent chills down their spines. From today onwards, don't let me hear any of you asking about my past. Otherwise, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. It did not sound like a joke. After hearing this, the few people present trembled violently. No one said a word as they watched Yun Jian disappear down the stairs. An hour later. In Yun Jian's bedroom. Pressing the button to answer the call, Qing Yu's voice came from the other end. Sister Jian, Limu, and the others have escaped from Country Z within an hour. Yun Jian pressed her lips together when she heard what Qing Yu said as her eyes flickered. They had really escaped from Country Z within an hour? In the next second, Yun Jian ordered Qing Yu softly with a smirk, "Kill them with all you've got. Don't leave a single one alive." Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Chapter 2346. She, Yun Jian, had never been a good person who kept her word. The words, "keep your promises," had always been targeted at the target. For a weed who had tried to assassinate her twice, Yun Jian's usual practice was to not leave a single strand of it alive. Yes. Qing Yu, who was familiar with Yun Jian, nodded when she heard Yun Jian's words and agreed with Yun Jian decisively. Yun Jian hung up the call and tossed her phone to the bedside table before closing her eyes to sleep. Yun Jian woke up early the next day. She got out of bed early and went for a morning run to the academy as usual. There were already many classmates in the classroom when she first entered the academy. Yun Jian walked to her seat with practiced ease. Morning. Luo Zhichen stood up to greet Yun Jian when he saw her today. He greeted Yun Jian almost immediately. Yun Jian nodded and returned to her seat. Nothing worth mentioning happened until the night before the fencing competition. School ended very late that night, mainly because Yun Jian's class teacher had delayed the class, so it was almost 9 o'clock when school ended. Yun Jian walked out at 9 o'clock at night. Luo Zhichen followed behind Yun Jian like a shadow. At the same time, he chuckled at Yun Jian. "Wei Lin, I didn't expect you to be so amazing. I don't mean anything else. I'm not trying to find out about your process. I'm just telling you about it. Also, I'll be your underling from now on. The kind that follows behind your butt, hee hee." Luo Zhichen was still following Yun Jian to the academy's entrance. They were only halfway there. The sound of a police siren suddenly rang out. Yun Jian raised her eyebrows. A police car sped into the academy. "I heard that someone died in the toilet. They're all dead now. It seems like a suicide or a homicide. The police car is here now." "What? Someone died in our academy. This can't be real, right? How could it be fake?" During the last night's self-study class, a girl in our class needed to pee and went to the toilet. Guess what happened? She walked into the toilet and opened a toilet door. Just as she was about to use the toilet, she found a corpse. The people who came back were scared silly. After the school confirmed it, they immediately called the police. "Oh my God. Is that a student from our school committing suicide? Who knows? Probably." Two girls walked past them and were talking in a very soft voice. Although their voices were soft, Yun Jian and Luo Zhichen were both martial artists. They immediately heard what the two girls were saying. *CK, I was wondering why it was so noisy during the last night's self-study session. It was as if something big had happened. He's dead. Luo Zhichen was shocked when he heard what the two girls said. Yun Jian's eyes moved, but her face was calm as if it had nothing to do with her. "Let's go." Yun Jian walked out of the academy. When something like this happened, the most innocent party was the school, and the most pitiful ones were the students' parents. However, she still had to go home. The next morning, Yun Jian went to school as usual. However, because of the murder, the school had to postpone the fencing competition. Since last night, the police and related personnel had been working through the night. They had not been able to close their eyes until now. Their spirit was indeed commendable. In the middle of the class, two police officers suddenly appeared outside the classroom. Everyone in the classroom was shocked when they saw the police officers. At the same time, a younger police officer walked into the classroom. He scanned the classroom and immediately asked, "Hello, everyone. Hello, students. Is there a student called Wei Lin in your class? Can you ask her to come out for a moment? Please remember the domain name of this book, .com, wonderful book mobile version website, .com. Chapter 2347. Hearing the young policeman's words, someone in the class immediately pointed at Yunjian. It's her. Uncle policeman, she's Wei Lin. Huh? What's going on? No, you're the police comrades who were in charge of the murder case that happened at the academy last night, right? No. Wei Lin didn't do anything, why are you looking for her? Luo Jichen quickly defended himself. No, we're just asking her a few questions, the young policeman quickly said after hearing Luo Jichen's words. Hearing that it was nothing serious, Luo Jichen heaved a sigh of relief. Yunjian's eyes moved and she walked out. It was not until Yunjian left the classroom that the students in the class started making wild guesses. There was a murder case at the academy yesterday, and Wei Lin from our class was taken away by the police today. Do you think this has something to do with Wei Lin? I think it has something to do with her. When Wei Lin wasn't here, nothing like this happened in the academy. Once she came, not only did she attract young Master Jun's attention, even young Master Chen from our class has been circling around her. She's like a vixen. That's true. Maybe the death of the classmate who got into trouble is related to Wei Lin. The group of people talked among themselves. At this moment, Yunjian had already been taken away from the classroom. Yunjian was directly brought to the crime scene. Yunjian was brought here because someone pointed out that Yunjian had a dispute with the deceased 2 days ago. The deceased was none other than Sister Biyao, who had touched Ling Qianqian previously and admired Yunjian. This news made Yunjian's eyelids move, but she never showed her emotions on her face. After hearing this news, Yunjian's eyes only moved. Previously, Sister Biyao admired Yunjian, so she did not touch Yunjian. In the end, during the last self-study period last night, her body was found in the toilet. When Sister Biyao was found, her head was submerged in the toilet and she died of suffocation. The police only asked Yunjian a few questions before letting her go. When Yunjian came out, she bumped into Luo Jiejun and the others. That day, Yunjian and Sister Biyao had a conflict because of Ling Qianqian. Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min were also present, and they were all pointed out. Therefore, the police also questioned them. When she met Luo Jiejun and the others at the outskirts of the interrogation area, Yunjian did not even bother to entertain them. Her eyes flickered as she suddenly turned to the police officer who had questioned her just now and said, "I'm sorry. Can I have a look at the corpse?" Hearing Yunjian's words, the policeman was stunned. Then, he said in a daze, "The victim died a horrible death. Young lady, are you sure you want to see it? It's better if you don't get involved in this mess. You're still young, and that scene will scare you until you can't sleep." Needless to say, even he felt that it was a little creepy when he saw it. Yunjian didn't reply to the policeman. Instead, she suddenly asked in front of Luo Jiejun and the others, "Have the police contacted a forensic doctor?" A forensic doctor was a type of forensic expert in the country. According to the laws and regulations and industry standards, they used various techniques or methods to conduct a medical investigation on the scene, autopsy, symptom analysis, identification of relics, and a series of methods to investigate the real culprit. To put it simply, a forensic doctor was a person who relied on autopsy to investigate the cause of death of the deceased, or to investigate the details of the environment to find the real culprit and give justice to the deceased. Not yet. But we've already sent someone to contact them. After hearing Yunjian's words, the policeman was stunned and immediately replied. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2348. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Forensic doctors dealt with corpses and even used scalpels to dissect corpses when necessary to determine if the deceased was a homicide or a suicide. Forensic doctors were different from traditional doctors in that they could not treat illnesses or save lives. But in a sense, forensic doctors and doctors had something in common. For example, the courses of forensic science and medical science would overlap in the first few years, but in the later internship, the courses of forensic science students and medical science students would be separated. Forensic doctors dealt with corpses all year round, so when normal people heard the word forensic doctor, they would be shocked and would not want to come into contact with this person. This also caused the number of people who studied forensic medicine to be very small. In the entire Biyao city, which was a metropolis with a population of millions, there were less than 50 forensic doctors. Those who were good at it were even fewer. Yun Jian, on the other hand, was just the youngest daughter of the Wei family who had just been found. There were rumors that she was one of the 10 portraits on the International Intelligence Platform and was listed as one of the most untouchable people in the world. But so what? So far, other than Limu's words, there was no evidence. And what was the highest medical institution in the world of international medicine? It was the place where forensic doctors gathered in the entire world. There were very few people in the medical profession, and it was an arduous and thankless job. However, those who were at the top of the world of forensic medicine were highly respected. Once you achieved something in your profession and stood at the top of the world, those who did not think highly of you would change their opinion of you. In the world of forensic medicine, those who could enter the highest medical institution in the world of forensic medicine were undoubtedly people who stood at the top of the world of forensic medicine. Therefore, when Yun Jian finished speaking, everyone was shocked. One must know that a forensic doctor who wanted to enter the highest medical institution in the world had to go through many trials and tests. A normal forensic doctor would need to be at least 30 years old to have the ability to enter the highest medical institution in the world. According to the latest news from the highest medical institution in the world, the youngest person to be specially invited to the highest medical institution in the world was a 28-year-old male forensic doctor. This male forensic doctor was the youngest person in the history of the highest medical institution in the world to be invited to the highest medical institution in the world. And Yun Jian? She was only 18 years old. Wei. Lin, what are you talking about? Our Wei family has never had a forensic doctor. Really, where did you get this fake ID from? What happened at school yesterday has nothing to do with the Wei family. Don't take it all on our Wei clan. When Wei Min heard what Yun Jian said, she almost blurted out her full name at Yun Jian, but she held it in. Not only did she have to take into account her reputation as a good sister, but she also had to say these words with a fake smile. Wei Min was really quite tired. When the policeman heard Wei Min's words, he was misled by Wei Min and thought that Yun Jian had a fake ID. There's even a replica of the International Supreme Forensic Academy's seal here. Lin. Son. I really didn't know that you were so capable. As Wei Min spoke, she found a seal at the bottom right corner of Yun Jian's document. When they heard Wei Min say that Yun Jian's ID was fake, Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Zhe naturally had no reason not to believe it. After all, with Yun Jian's age, and her being a special guest of the highest medical institution, no one would believe it even if they said it out loud. However, when Wei Min finished speaking and Luo Jiejun and the others thought that Yun Jian was lying, the policeman suddenly rushed in front of Yun Jian and carefully examined the seal at the bottom right corner of Yun Jian's ID. Just when Wei Min, Luo Jiejun, and the others thought that the policeman would accuse Yun Jian of faking the ID, they saw the policeman speaking to Yun Jian in a very respectful tone. This seal is really personally printed by the president of the highest medical institution in the world. With the assistance of the medical examiner from the highest medical institution in the world, there's no way for anything to go wrong. Mr. Medical Examiner, thank you for your hard work. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2349. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. When the police were investigating cases, there would often be cases of unnatural deaths that were suspected to be homicides. At this time, forensic science played a huge role. There were even cases where the deceased would be disguised as suicide. If there was no forensic science at this time, then the deceased would have died unjustly, and the murderer would be free. Forensic science was the source of these cases. That was why forensic science was a very respectable profession. The police officer recognized the seal as he had seen it on the news before. The seal of the International Supreme Court was not something that could be easily imitated by outsiders. For a forensic science that was worthy of respect, the police officer gave Yunjian the highest respect. Hearing this, Yunjian squinted her eyes and nodded. Police officer. How's the investigation of Lin Jiaoyue's case? Yesterday, when Lin Jiaoyue's parents heard the news, they both fainted and were sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. Lin Jiaoyue's father said that if the school and the police did not give him an explanation, he would. So I'm here to ask about the situation. A mature man's urgent voice sounded. Yun Jian turned her head and saw a middle-aged man in his 40s standing in front of her. Lin Jiaoyue was the real name of the deceased, Sister Biyao. It was hard to imagine that such a boorish girl like Sister Biyao would have such a literary and ladylike name. But if one only looked at Sister Biao's appearance, she was so petite that she was only slightly shorter than Yun Jian. Her perfect figure matched Lin Jiaoyue's literary and ladylike name. You are Lin Jiaoyue's class teacher, right? The police officer looked at the middle-aged man in his 40s and asked. Yes. The middle-aged man nodded. This middle-aged man was Sister Biao's class teacher, Teacher Yang. The case has already begun its investigation. I believe there will be a result soon. If you are still worried, you can come with us to take a look. At the same time, you can also provide information about Lin Jiaoyue's current situation and relationships in school. The police officer looked at Teacher Yang and said. Okay. As long as you can find the unpardonable murderer, I will definitely cooperate with you. Teacher Yang listened and quickly nodded. Yes. The policeman nodded at Mr. Yang, then turned to look at Yun Jian and extended his hand to Yun Jian. Let me formally introduce myself. My surname is Zhou. You can call me Captain Zhou. I am the person in charge of the investigation of this case. Yun Jian didn't reach out, but she nodded. Wei Lin. Seeing Yun Jian and Captain Zhou walking toward the crime scene, Luo Jejun and Wei Min gulped. You guys go back first. I'll follow them and see what's going on. Luo Jejun couldn't help but retort. With that, Luo Jejun chased after Yun Jian. I'll go too. When Wei Min heard this, she gritted her teeth and quickly followed. When Wei Zhe and Hong Ling saw this, they naturally couldn't just leave on their own, and the two of them chased after him. The crime scene is right in front of us. The victim was found in the girls' toilet on the west side of the school. As far as we know, during the last class of the evening self-study period, the victim asked for leave from the teacher to go to the toilet because she needed to pee. Later, the victim's head was found soaked in the toilet pit. It's suspected that she was soaked in the water in the toilet pit and suffocated to death. Captain Zhou took the lead and led Yun Jian in that direction, talking as they walked. Captain Zhou paused and said, the body is still in the girls' toilet on the west side of the school. Because it's suspected to be a homicide, the crime scene hasn't been changed in order to investigate the case thoroughly. After hearing Captain Zhou's words, Yun Jian only responded softly. At this time, Luo Jejun had already taken the lead and ran to Yun Jian's side. He was a little out of breath from running. After grabbing a handful of his short black hair, Luo Jejun spoke to Yun Jian. Can you do it? A forensic doctor has to face a corpse. You're a girl, aren't you afraid? No matter what, Yun Jian was just an 18-year-old girl in the prime of her youth. Moreover, although Yun Jian had shown extraordinary strength in front of everyone before, she had never killed or seen a dead person in public. Therefore, Luo Jejun was very doubtful. After hearing Luo Jejun's words, Yun Jian, whose path was blocked, stopped in her tracks. She coldly looked at Luo Jejun with contempt and said indifferently, "I've killed more people than you've peed in your entire life. Do you think a corpse can scare me?" Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2350. Page 1/1. Pee that has been spilled. These 4 words stunned everyone present. Logically speaking, such words coming out of the mouth of an 18-year-old girl would more or less carry a trace of awkwardness, unnaturalness, rudeness, and shamelessness. But when these words came out of Yun Jian's mouth, there was no sense of contradiction at all. However, what made Luo Jejun, Wei Min, Wei Zhe, and Hong Ling, who had caught up with them, suddenly stunned was not the metaphor of these 4 words, but, had she, Yun Jian, killed someone before? Even Captain Zhou couldn't help but raise his eyebrows in surprise when he heard Yun Jian's words. "It's just a joke. Ignore them." When everyone present heard Yun Jian's words and felt shocked and terrified, Yun Jian's voice sounded again. These words were directed at Captain Zhou. Haha. Although the girl was young, she was still a forensic doctor at the International Supreme Court of Forensic Medicine. If she was really afraid of corpses, she would not have been able to enter the International Supreme Court of Forensic Medicine. "You youngsters, if you're afraid, then don't come in. The victim's death was so tragic that I'm afraid it'll leave you with a shadow. Hurry up and leave." Captain Zhou was a very upright police officer. Before he brought Yun Jian into the crime scene, he waved at Luo Jejun and the others. "She's not afraid, and neither am I. I'll go in with you." Luo Jejun couldn't help but refuse. "I want to go too." When Wei Min saw that Luo Jejun wanted to go in, she also spoke up. Yun Jian ignored Luo Jejun and the others. She followed Captain Zhou and quickly entered the crime scene. Of course, before entering the crime scene, Captain Zhou gave Yun Jian a set of forensic tools. At that time, Yun Jian walked into the toilet and put on a pair of sterile gloves. Although Mr. Yang was also a little scared, he still followed them into the toilet. At this moment, Yun Jian was walking at the front. She didn't panic at all when she saw the corpse. As for Wei Min, Hong Ling, and Wei Zhe, they followed closely behind Luo Jejun. Luo Jejun's forehead also broke out in cold sweat, but when he saw that Yun Jian was not afraid at all, he gritted his teeth and pretended not to be afraid at all and continued to follow her. Captain Zhou had already seen Sister Biao's corpse, so he was not afraid or flustered at all. By then, everyone had already arrived at the toilet pit where the corpse was found. The few people present suddenly saw a corpse lying not far away. Its head was slightly swollen from being soaked in water, its face was pale, its hands drooping, and its long black hair disheveled. Suddenly seeing this scene, Wei Min screamed. Then, she fiercely hugged Luo Jejun and was so scared that her whole body trembled. Even Luo Jejun's face turned pale when he saw this scene. Needless to say, the deceased was not far away. Not to mention Wei Min, Hong Ling, and Wei Zhe, even the bravest Luo Jejun did not dare to walk forward. "If you're afraid, you can leave first," Captain Zhou immediately said to Luo Jejun and the others. "I think I'd better leave first." Teacher Yang's face turned pale. He was a little frightened by the tragic state of the corpse. After saying this to everyone, he hurriedly left the place. However, just when everyone was afraid, even Captain Zhou, who had already seen the corpse of the deceased, was shaken by the atmosphere. His heart trembled slightly. Yun Jian suddenly walked directly to Sister Biao's corpse in front of everyone. She reached out her hand that was wearing a sterile glove and placed it on Sister Biao's eyes. Then, she lifted Sister Biao's eyelids and roughly checked. Seeing Yun Jian suddenly walk in front of the corpse, not only was she not afraid, she even lifted the corpse's eyelids. Even Luo Jejun felt a chill run down his spine. When Wei Min saw this, she screamed and pointed at Yun Jian. She shouted, she's not afraid. She's really not afraid. Translator, Henyi Translations Editor, Henyi Translations. Chapter 23:51. Wei Min's chattering made Yunjian frown. She scanned the floor before standing up and speaking to Captain Zhou. Send the body to the autopsy room and ask the parents if they're willing to let me do the autopsy. This is the fastest way to find out the truth. Even if someone died in an accident or was suspected to be a homicide or suicide, the forensic doctor would still need to seek the consent of the deceased's parents before he could do the autopsy. Okay. Captain Zhou responded and went out to get a few people to send the body to the autopsy room. He then sent someone to the hospital to ask about Sister Biao's parents. Yun Jian was already walking out of the washroom. Taking 2 steps, she glanced at Wei Min from the corner of her eyes and said coldly, "Shut your mouth and get away from me. Otherwise, I'll dissect you too." Hearing Yun Jian say that she would dissect her too, Wei Min was so scared that her face turned pale. She leaned on Luo Jejun and said to Yun Jian, How can you talk to your sister like that? I don't want to be a burden to you, but I can't shut my mouth. Wei Min grabbed Luo Jejun's hand and said to Yun Jian innocently. However, just as she finished speaking, Yun Jian ignored Wei Min and walked out. Seeing this, Wei Min was furious in her heart. However, she still smiled at the few people present with a calm expression. I'm fine. I'm afraid that my sister can't handle it alone, so I came in with her. It's fine. Let's continue to follow her. I'm afraid that she'll be bullied. She made it sound like Wei Min was only following Yun Jian because she was worried about Yun Jian's safety. Min, you're such a good sister. Your sister already said that about you, but you're still not angry. Hearing Wei Min's words, Hong Ling was really fooled by Wei Min's appearance. She immediately flipped her short red hair and said to Wei Min. Sister Biao's body was quickly moved to the autopsy room. Captain Zhou also received the news that Sister Biao's parents agreed to the autopsy, but they requested that the culprit be caught and brought to justice. At that moment, Yun Jian had just changed into a surgical gown and was about to enter the autopsy room. Forensic doctors and doctors were very similar in some aspects. For example, dissection required a scalpel, and the surgeon also used a scalpel. The dissection also required the same surgical gown and sterile gloves as the doctors. Just as Yun Jian was about to step into the autopsy room, a middle-aged man in his 50s suddenly walked over and blocked Yun Jian's path. I was the one who took over this case first. Even if you're from the top international forensic medical institution, you still have to follow the rules of our profession. The middle-aged man walked up to Yun Jian and said loudly. It turned out that before Yun Jian came forward, Captain Zhou had already sent someone to contact the forensic doctor. In the end, as soon as they agreed to help Yun Jian, the people on the other side had also successfully contacted the forensic doctor. The middle-aged man's surname was Hang, and he was the most famous forensic doctor in Biyao City. He had handled almost 1,000 cases in his life, and 800 of them were because of him alone. He had caught the real culprit and brought justice to the deceased. When he heard that a teenage girl had stolen his job, Hang medical examiner rushed over without saying anything. He had almost a lifetime of experience. So what if this little girl had the title of the highest international medical examiner? If her experience was not good enough, it was still useless. She did not have the ability. After hearing Hang medical examiner's words, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes slightly and retorted rudely, "Come on, you'll probably never find the real culprit in this case." "What do you mean?" Hang medical examiner blew his beard and glared at her. "Literally." Yun Jian crossed her arms and sneered. "Then do you want to compete?" Hang medical examiner was unconvinced. Seeing the sudden change in the situation, Luo Jejun, Captain Zhou, and the others were shocked. "There's no need for that." However, Yun Jian's indifferent voice was heard. Just as Hang medical examiner thought that Yun Jian was admitting defeat, he heard Yun Jian's arrogant words in front of everyone present. Her words shocked everyone present. Because with your standard, you're not worthy of competing with me. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 2352. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Hang Medical Examiner was a famous medical examiner in Biyao City. He had handled almost 1,000 cases and successfully found the real culprit in 800 cases. He was the one who brought justice to the deceased. This was because Hang Medical Examiner's observation was meticulous and could find clues from the scene of the crime. From these clues, he could solve the case completely. Whenever there was a trace of the murderer at the crime scene, Hang Medical Examiner would be able to see through it. Therefore, Hang Medical Examiner was very famous in Country Z's legal medical field. Because of Hang Medical Examiner's amazing ability, even outside of Biyao City, other provinces in Country Z would hire Hang Medical Examiner for help when they encountered difficult cases. This also fully demonstrated Hang Medical Examiner's great ability. What about Yunjian? She actually said that Hang Medical Examiner's standard was not worthy of competing with her. Hang Medical Examiner was, after all, an extremely famous existence in Z country's medical field. What about her? Although she had a verified certificate from the highest international medical examiners institution, the certificate was just a form of writing. Hang Medical Examiner, at least in Country Z's legal medical field, was known by everyone. He was a real person who did the work. What about her? Even if she was from the highest international medical examiners institution, she was not even famous in the legal medical field before this. Sometimes, fame represented ability. What was the use of having the best certificate? Therefore, after hearing Yunjian's words, Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, and Captain Zhou, who had been standing at the side, could not help but twitch the corners of their mouths. No matter how good Yunjian was, Hang Medical Examiner's ability was right there for all to see. How could a little girl like her, who was not famous in the legal medical field, be compared to her? However, the few people present did not know that Yunjian was not famous in the legal medical field because she, Yunjian, was hired as a special guest of the highest international medical examiners institution with a high price in the name of the hand of death in the medical field. To put it bluntly, Yunjian was hired by the highest international medical examiners institution to keep up appearances. Have you ever seen a big boss move bricks with his workers? Asking Yunjian, the hand of death, to handle the case was harder than ascending to the heavens. Therefore, she had never been famous in the forensic science world. However, if the name Hand of the Grim Reaper was mentioned, her fame was enough to shock the entire world. It was not something that a forensic doctor from Hangzhou could compare to. Young lady, you're indeed capable. You've entered the top international medical academy at such a young age. I don't know if I have any hope of entering that place in my lifetime, but in terms of strength and experience, I'm not inferior to you. We'll know who's better once we compete. Otherwise, I think you don't even dare to compete with me. The one who doesn't deserve to compete with me is you. Dr. Hang was also a very stubborn person who refused to admit defeat. After hearing Yunjian's words, he used the same words to refute her. If Hang Medical Examiner flinched, Yunjian would look down on such a person. However, Hang Medical Examiner stood up and spoke to Yunjian in the same unflinching tone. Seeing this, Yunjian narrowed her eyes. She had changed her opinion of Hang Medical Examiner from her initial dislike. Wei Lin. Do you know what you're saying and doing? As your sister, I can't bear to see you make mistakes again and again. Why are you suddenly getting involved in this mess? Hurry up and come home with me. Wei Min felt that the more Yunjian continued to speak, the more Luo Jiejun's eyes were fixed on Yunjian. It was as if he was glued to Yunjian and couldn't be pulled away. She was furious. After saying this, she walked over and acted as if her younger sister had done something wrong and was angry at her. As she spoke, she reached out to pull Yunjian. However, just as Wei Min was about to reach out to pull Yunjian, Yunjian didn't even look at Wei Min. She followed Wei Min's path and wrapped her hand around Wei Min's head like a snake's nimble body. Then, in front of everyone, Yun Jian looked at medical examiner Hang and pressed Wei Min's head against the corner of the wall. Just as Wei Min was about to suffocate from the pressure, Yun Jian suddenly grinned at medical examiner Hang and spoke as if nothing had happened. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I suddenly feel that you're not bad. Let's compete and see who can find the murderer first. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.